Alrighty, guys. Welcome in. Holy crap, there is a whole bunch of chat just scrolling through that I can see. So thank you guys so much for being here. This is going to be a very special stream today. We are going to be discussing a whole bunch of Mass Effect theory stuff. And it's going to be extremely special because we do have a special guest on the channel for the very first time with Calla Elizabeth. I have, I guess, your head over here, Calla. Just chilling. But yeah, let's get some love in the chat for Calla. Calla, go ahead and you can unmute and we can kind of chat a little bit. You can tell us about yourself. Everybody here, I'm pretty sure, knows who you are, but in case they don't.
I'm pretty sure probably you guys may have seen my stuff. If you're not here from my Twitter as well, too. Thanks for watching, though. We're going to talk about some stuff that Atharia will go more into, but I'm excited to chat with everybody.
Yeah, like legit, guys, if you have not checked, I'm pretty sure if anybody is in here, you probably know Calla Elizabeth's channel. Calla, I don't know if you have your YouTube link, if you want to pop that in now. And then you can also pop it in later, or I could try to find it for you as well. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to go over, Calla, feel free to pop your YouTube link in anytime. I'm going to go over what we are going to be talking about today. So, there is a new thing that has kind of happened. Also, thank you so much, Fang, for Calla's audio. There's a new thing that kind of happened on Twitter. It's not really a new thing, but good old XenoWriter, who I did see was kind of in the chat. So welcome into XenoWriter. XenoWriter has pointed out that there is something new with this relay intercept. So for those who don't know, let me try to, I think I have the tweet here. Where is it here? Yeah, so here is the tweet. This is going to be the first thing that we talk about, and just absolutely blew my mind, and I'm sure Calla as well. So XenoWriter pointed out that there was a clip of a sound of a black hole that NASA released in August of 2022. And remarkably, the black hole sound is actually very similar to the audio intercept thingy with Liara talking to the Geth before you kind of decode it. So that is what we're going to be talking about, kind of the significance of that. And first I'm going to play both sounds, and then Calla, I will ask you for your thoughts on that. So just hang tight. Let's listen to these sounds first. Okay, so I guess, you know what? Let's listen to the actual, let's listen to the Mass Effect intercept sound first. Let me just pause my music so you guys can hear this in all its glory. All right, so this, let me just start from the beginning.
It's in that clip if you need that.
Oh, is it? Oh, dude, you know what?
Yeah, I
While
play
I was
the N7 thing and then the NASA clip and then the N7 thing again.
While I was eating, I forgot to take the thing from you.
Oh, I emailed it.
So I'm devastated. Oh yeah. Okay, you know what? while you're chatting, I will try to get that thing that you sent me into this thing, because I was just struggling and trying to eat lunch right before. So anyway, here is the sounds that I'm sure you guys have all memorized, and it was just like, actually, Calla, it was so funny. I was actually humming this yesterday because it got stuck on my head. But anyway, this is the initial sound before you decode it. And then XenoWriter found this. Let's give this a listen.
I see a comment where someone says there's no sound in space. And the NASA clip that I included, if you play the actual visual, shows the NASA explanation of why there is sound.
Yep. It's
so it'll explain there.
It's on here as well. So the misconception that there is no sound in space originates because most space is a vacuum, providing no way for sound waves to travel. So essentially, like, NASA took like you're basically hearing the, like, what the black hole visually looks like. Is that kind of what it what it is, Kala? The
Sorry,
drone is
well,
the sound coming from a black hole. Sorry, I'm just looking at this thing here. Do you see the... Yes,
yeah,
pressure
I'm seeing
waves.
it.
Yeah, so we're hearing the pressure waves. We're not actually like, this isn't the black hole releasing sound necessarily, but it is the pressure waves. Okay, so that is kind of what we are discussing, whether the Mass Effect team essentially intentionally made this one. Where is it? I wish I had just done the thing, Kala, where you emailed me the thing. There we go. Whether this one is supposed to be the sound of a black hole. Kala, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so first off, I turned up my volume, so hopefully people can hear me better, but so it's very, very, very similar, but I do want to say that it could be very intentional, but at the same time, I listened to the audio after the decoding, and I don't know how audio works. I don't know how to isolate sounds or anything like that, so this is just, this is just me, a casual observer. But the translated audio does not have the sound in it anymore, so I'm assuming that this audio became the voices. I don't know how it was decoded. I have no idea. So when I think about it being intentional, if it was super intentional, wouldn't it be in the translated portion as well? Like, I guess my question is the untranslated version actually important if once it becomes decoded or whatever, it doesn't have that same sound?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. So I kind of tried to put a timeline together on this to figure out, like, could the Mass Effect team have done this intentionally? So essentially, this relay that we're seeing right now on the screen was released on November 7th, 2022. But they actually had they had this ship kind of like already where is it? Right here. They had this kind of concept in the BioWare 25 book, which released in, I believe it was November of 2020. So it almost feels like what they released on N7 Day 2020, like with the relay and the sounds and stuff like that. Like they already had this kind of picture and relay prepped beforehand, like 2 years before. So the fact that the black hole audio from NASA and stuff like that was kind of released in August of that same year, they could have just had like a brain epiphany and been like, oh, hey, this relay that like supposedly, like, we don't know, like maybe the Systems Alliance made it or a human faction made it. What if they already knew that this relay had something to do with black holes and they just kind of seized an opportunity and were like, oh, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we kind of made this audio that was going to kind of drown out the Liara and Geth conversation, match that? Because to me, like the one thing that kind of puts the black hole sound was intentional is the fact that it's also showing a relay that we don't know what this relay's purpose is, you know? And the one thing that I wanted to get your opinion on, Kala, was there was a Gamble tweet that I think I have here. So there was this tweet from 2020 where the question was, with regards to this relay from the BioWare 2020 or the BioWare 25 years book. And Tom Phillips said, I guess a more interesting question is, why is a new relay being built? We saw the ones damaged in the Reaper War repaired, so where does this new design lead? And Gamble directly responded to this and said, a most excellent question. Which makes me think, what if the relay is for some random reason designed to maybe traverse black holes? Like, what do you think about that? The connection between black holes and the fact that it's showing this random human-made relay.
I think that black holes are an interesting concept, but at the same time, I don't know if the like science really checks out for that type of concept. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but from the
Same.
little bit that I have read up on black holes is either they essentially lead to nowhere or they lead to another black hole.
Yeah.
And I know both of us have spoken about that kind of possibility, and while I don't think that I would personally be into like such a jump in the science that explains how science works in the Mass Effect universe, I guess that it just feels a little too far-fetched to me, but that's not to say that it doesn't. The science for everything that you can do in Mass Effect is there. Like, if they want to do time travel, it's there. If they want to do time dilation, it's there. The Scourge, dark energy, these black hole concepts, element zero, have all of the core concepts that you would need to expand on any one of these ideas. So I think that realistically, they could literally do anything that we've spoken about. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be that hard to deviate and expand on the existing science and lore and the way that the mass relays work and all of that, and be like, hey, we can use black holes to travel. I don't think that
Yeah.
is really where they'd go. Just because I feel like there's two reasons I feel like that. And we spoke about this last time, where Andromeda felt like it was taking more of a grounded approach versus like it was leaning more into the scientific explanations for its like phenomenons.
Yep.
Where, in the end of Mass Effect 3, we have the Star Child and whatever, and this, the science behind that.
Yep.
So I feel like they might stay with the more grounded approach, because I think it's always been interesting in Mass Effect the Mass Effect itself is partially grounded in like relatively real scientific concepts.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's part of why it's so interesting. So personally for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot that I think could be happening, but I think there's also just standard explanations, like this being a new relay that's being built now that, the galaxy has the technology after the ending of Mass Effect 3 and whatever, and they're finally able to build their own relays and determine where they're supposed to go and whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I guess?
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. I definitely think that makes sense. I guess the one thing that is kind of getting to me is the fact that they didn't prep a new kind of hint for the N7 Day 2022. They just kind of reused an old thing from it's clearly like a concept art thing, from the Bioware 25 book. So I'm so curious, because it remarkably does sound like the black hole thing. But like you mentioned, the whole point of it was to get rid of that noise and to kind of hear the
there is a
Liara and
video
Geth
of the
conversation.
person who actually decoded the audio. I'm trying to look for it.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
I cannot remember who
Same.
it was.
I would have to scroll through my history back like months.
I
know what
I'm
you're talking
trying.
about. Yeah, so essentially the way that the audio for this was decoded, I do think I have the decoded audio as well. Let me get that on here. So yeah, here's the original audio. But yeah, the way that this was kind of gotten rid of, and the YouTuber did such an amazing job explaining it, but you essentially had to put two different audio waves on top of each other that were the exact same,
Exactly. The council will be furious.
exact same source, and then you had to shift over the audio of one to cancel out the noise, right? That's kind of the...
Insane. I would never think to do that.
I was absolutely flabbergasted when I saw that as well.
And they did it so quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I think this was decoded like just very shortly
Minutes?
after being released.
Yeah, no, definitely. Actually, no, that is an interesting discussion. Oh man, my thingy. Let me just try to get the... Trying to figure out how to get this chat thingy working. Whenever my pop-up kind of goes away, can't click on things. Yeah, so I can't actually click on the thing to add this. But Alex P says, anyone else hear drums in that? So, Alex, the inverted the phase. Yes, thank you so much, Dogman. Yeah, so it sounds like drums because the audio waveforms are essentially like, the YouTuber said it was like 5 milliseconds or something like that, or 5 something off of the original waveform. It's super complicated to explain, and I'm definitely not an expert in this, so I'm probably just doing a bad job of it. But hopefully, Kala, let me know if you can find that, because I have no idea.
I'm looking.
Exactly. The council
I think I don't hear drums. I think I hear like clicking.
It's like a boom boom. So like,
Yeah, yeah. And it does it at like an interval, but to me it just sounds like clicking. Like I don't know why, but every time I hear it, I think of Turian mandibles clicking. I don't think that's what it is, but that's
No.
what I think of.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally know what you mean. But the Turian mandibles don't actually, do they audibly click, or you're just kind of inputting?
I don't know if you've heard the like untranslated alien sounds. They have,
Oh,
like, clicking
yes.
there.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh, sorry.
Decoded audio is all...
Audio is louder than I am.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can
no
hear me
worries.
a little
I
bit.
am making that much softer now, and I've turned off the music as well. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Alex saying 2 drum beats every single time. Yeah. If I could just find the video here. It's intentional. It's definitely intentional. But I guess, yeah, off of that, do we want to discuss what Liara and the Geth could be talking about with regards to this relay? Because I do think they're talking about the relay itself, right?
Okay,
I can't... Oh, did you find it?
No, I have a question.
Oh,
So,
yes, go ahead.
in context of the audio that we hear, do you think Liara is talking to the Geth, or do you think that Liara is speaking and the Geth are listening to her? Because that's how I
Yeah.
interpret it, because I think it's very I know that there is that tweet going around that someone, kind of tried to decode what the Geth were saying, but I think that the Geth are speaking untranslated, so it hasn't been put through a translator yet. So that means that, like, as an individual, we're not like, an individual is not the one listening to the Geth speak, but it's like something is observing the Geth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I definitely think that... Here, let me just get rid of this thing. So in the bottom right corner, actually, let me just try to get the... Just try to blow this up here. So I do think that the context of what this is very important. Like, because... Let me just blow this up. This might take a little bit. So in the bottom left corner, it says vacuum dock relay construction record and then monitoring station. So I personally think that what this whole thing is, and I believe when Mike Gamble described it in the blog post, he said, we picked up this audio from a known monitoring station in space or something, right? So I personally don't think that this, I think whatever recording we're seeing that's picking up the audio, Liara and the Geth aren't aware that they're being recorded. Like, it's just a monitoring station that is picking up their speech. And before this past N7 day, I genuinely thought that Liara was speaking to somebody completely random, and there just so happened to be like Geth speech over top of it for some reason. But I think the fact that they included, let me get it here for you. They included this where there's clearly an unknown Geth sitting with supposedly Liara. I think confirms from the N7 Day 2022, the relay stuff, that she had to have been talking to the Geth. Because if this is Liara sitting at the table, then the Geth is right next to her. You know?
Yeah, no,
So I think they are
totally
talking.
agree. I totally agree, but here is my dilemma there.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but the way that this audio has been associated with 3 other things. So Gamble tweeted that quote, from Liara with a piece of concept art that looks like it's that piece art that piece of concept art has the signs from Omega. So there's that connection. And then that audio was quoted in last year's N7, which is the oh gosh, I'm like the thing that was decoded and the N7 clip. And then it's also, related to
Right.
this N7 clip. So there's
Right.
been more than one. So it's hard to look at just the clip in the isolated terms of like Liara speaking to a Geth, because that audio has been used in several teases and connected to several different things. So I guess when I listen to it, like Xenowriter says in chat, I think the Geth are listening in on a transmission and Liara is speaking to someone else. That's how I've always interpreted it.
Right.
Just because, like I said, if the Geth were speaking amongst themselves, like they don't need to have a translator, and we're not hearing a translation of their audio. You would think if there was a transmission of any alien race, because Liara, like, she's being translated, and you would think that any alien race that was known would be able to be translated by default.
Right.
So that's why I think that it's like that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, to go off of that, I know that you had watched my one Geth theory on like why this Geth is wearing clothes all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible that this Geth isn't like the whole point? Like if Liara, it was talking to the Geth in the relay audio, do you think it's possible that the reason the Geth wasn't being translated is because there's some unknown Geth that either left the Milky Way or just like there's something funky going on where maybe it's a group of Geth that's speaking in a Geth language that just hasn't been put through like a translator? Like, do you think there's anything funky going on there? Or I guess the main thought is, what do you think about the Geth wearing clothes? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't think that there would be language deviations, considering the Geth really haven't been around that long to like evolve enough. I think anyways. They've only been around for, oh gosh, I think the Morning War was like, oh god, I want to say 1864, but I don't think that's right. I can't remember exactly the start of the Geth War, but the Morning War. So I don't know why this Geth has clothing. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like it's very weird. I think about it all the time. Not only that, but we've also never seen armor like that. It very much looks like fantasy pauldrons and like a semi like drapery that you would expect on like a knight.
Yeah.
it's very, very weird. And part of me wonders if I have like a few weird theories. I don't really necessarily know if I even want to call them theories, just like
It's okay, Callie. You're on
thoughts.
this channel. You are on this
True.
channel. You can say whatever you want. This
But I
is the Unhinged
wonder-
Theories channel.
I wonder if this Geth has been modified because the Geth legs don't look like they should fit under that. Like that drapery looks very straight down. Like
Yeah.
there's no shape, but
Yeah.
they do have a like their legs are very similar to, you know, that Solarian right there, you know. So I think it's weird that the Geth does not have the standard body shape that, like the standard Geth silhouette that we've known.
Yeah.
So part of me is like, what if the drapery, what if the clothing is to cover up like modifications or, you know, engineering to like rebuild this Geth, and maybe we are seeing Geth that have been rebuilt. And also, you know, on the other opposite side of that, maybe this Geth has advanced and become more of like an individual and is like, hey, I've been learning about history and I really like this knight armor, so I'm gonna make something.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just really interesting, this Geth, because this Geth and Angara are so crazy because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
This like threw such a wrench in like literally every single person's theories related to the next game. And I still don't know what to think about it. I've even sat down and tried to draw this dude.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I can't. My brain can't imagine a Geth in armor.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look like it has the similar silhouette and shape. And that could just be you know, it's just a quick concept piece. I don't know.
Right.
I hope one day they release a more HD version of this so that we can look, but
Oh, dude. I need the tell-all of everything from the teaser trailer from 2020 up until whenever the game releases.
same.
Like I need the Mike Gamble tell-all for like, this is how I was screwing with the fan base. This is why I
know,
tweeted
he's
that.
just, like evil laughing from his computer.
Oh yeah. I can't be convinced otherwise. I hope he's having a great time though, because
I know, right? But yeah, I genuinely don't know what to think about this Geth, and the fact that we've heard, not only have we heard the audio of the Geth, but we've also seen, you know, the dead Geth as well in that 2021 poster.
Yeah, look at that.
So it's really hard to bring it all together because it doesn't make any sense. And I just want to say that we're going to have to do another stream for N7 Day. I think I'm going to try and do another thing like last year, because I don't know when, you know, Dreadwolf is coming out, but if this is the first year after Dreadwolf does come out, if this N7 Day,
oh yeah,
that means they can go all in.
They can confirm whatever they want.
Yeah, they can finally give us some goods, and it would mean that this game would finally be moving into production.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to think about the Geth or the audio. There's just, I have so many like thoughts, but no concrete like connecting the dots type of situation. It's so confusing, and that's why they did it.
Yeah, it all has to be connected though, right? Because if we think about it, this Geth poster was released N7 Day 2021. Oh dear, I have lost the poster. There we go. This was released N7 Day 2021, and I wasn't actually, like, I only started playing Mass Effect in like 22, so I actually had no idea that these things were coming out and stuff like that. But this was their first thing of, oh look, it's a crater that looks like a Geth, basically telling us the Geth are going to be extremely important. And then the following year, every single year, Kala, like it has to somehow connect. And I
think the Geth are going to be major in the next game.
Yeah.
For
will
two
they
major
be
reasons?
Do you think they're going to be enemies? Do you think,
No,
like, what
no,
vibe are you getting?
no. I would bet my finger that they're not going to be antagonists again, because number one, doesn't make sense to make them antagonists again. Number two,
Yeah.
they did so much to make us so sympathetic towards the Geth in 2 with Legion, and then 3 with the entirety of, the Geth consensus. So it would be backtracking at
Yeah.
that point to be like, hey, they're our enemy again. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. But
I
I
agree.
also think that narratively, they can't do it, because the next game has to advance the synthetic versus organics, debate and just like overall narrative that surrounds that. They cannot do that if they rehash the exact same thing that happened in Mass Effect 1. So I
Exactly.
don't think that they would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I find it so interesting. Like, if you're not going to take that route again with the Geth being enemies, then where are you going to take it, right? And in my last video, I kind of went over the it seems like what the Mass Effect team wants to do with the organics and synthetics kind of thread, which is the heart of Mass Effect, like it truly is. After Mass Effect 3, with all of the stuff with Edie's arc, and like, are synthetics alive? If you read the books, I think, Callie, you've read all the books. The conversation between Cora and Sammy with, is Sammy a person? Like, all of those all of the synthetic plot threads seem to be moving towards a very like asking the question of, are synthetics alive? Like, are synthetics individuals? Which again connects to the stuff that, like, it directly connects to Legion's arc, and the final thing that happens on Rannoch with Legion and Tali. Like, does this unit have a soul? Like, all of these things are kind of driving towards a very blurring the line between organics and synthetics. And with this last tease, having a Geth wearing clothes or like knight armor only adds to that discussion. So
Yeah, exactly.
what do you think about, I specifically wanted to ask your thoughts about, in Mass Effect Andromeda, where, what should I call it? Alec Ryder made Sam specifically to integrate with all the Pathfinders and stuff. And then obviously either our writer, like Scott or Sarah, kind of integrating with Sam, interacting with Remtech, and then losing Sam near the end of the game, but still being able to interact with Remtech. Do you think, I guess, where do you think they were going to take that in the Andromeda sequel? And do you think we'll kind of see that kind of blurring the line between organics and synthetics in the next game more, especially after seeing like this Geth and knight armor and stuff like that?
That's a good question, because I think that, when we play Andromeda, it's hard to or it's not hard to see kind of the direction that they wanted to take the series, which is, again, like you just said, I think it's blurring that line of synthetics are organics if you give them the space to be. And there's not like that line blurring again. And I think with the Andromeda sequel, I think they were setting up the Jardan as a synthetic connection.
Yeah.
And I think that the remnants were, accessible by Ryder and Sam, because the Jardan may have had a similar connection with synthetics if they were not synthetics themselves.
Yeah.
The message that we find on Key to Sierra is, or wait, shit, was it Meridian? No, it's
Is
Key
it
to
when
Sierra.
the Jardan were talking?
It's the message from the Jelm or
Oh.
about Jelm, and it at the end of that it says like creation is everything, protect the work or something like that.
Yep, yep. I know what you're talking about.
And that to me very much sounds like something that you would say to someone whose entire existence revolves around creating something and manufacturing something. And that sounds like synthetic behavior. So I have this whole video that I'm working on where I kind of delve into my theories that I think that the Jardan were synthetic, if not just partially or full, either way. They have to have some type of synthetic connection. And I think with everything with Ryder and Sam, that's what Andromeda was eventually going to lead into. Again, essentially rehashing the same narrative in the original trilogy, which is why, like, if you actually break down the like the story beats, Andromeda and the original trilogy are very, very similar. And Andromeda is just kind of rehashing what we did learn in the original trilogy. So I think that that's where it would have gone. And I think that's what we're going to see in the next game, is that synthetics origin, that line blurring even more. And I do want to say that my hot take is that to fully advance that narrative, they have to make the synthetic / AI 1-to-1. They have to make them equal. And that means that we have to be able to romance them.
Oh,
Truly
yeah.
see them as our equals. That's
No.
That's my...
That's not a hot take. I mean, I personally don't think it's a hot take. I think that would be
some people,
awesome.
I said it on Twitter, and there were plenty of people that were like, what is this? This
Wait,
should have been in the drafts.
No. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, yeah, I've even seen people, be a little upset that like Krogan and stuff aren't romanceable. So I think that hopefully, like, Mike Gamble's pretty on top of things. He knows where the fan base is kind of at. I mean, when he mentioned the Marauder Shields thing under his own little messed up theory, like he has a pretty good finger on the pulse of the fan base. So I think we'll probably get more romance options, and synthetics included, because I mean, I kind of brought up the N7, the new N7 here, because I did want to get your thoughts on your new theory that this is an N7 agent. Do you think, apologies, that's my phone going off. Do you think that the if this is an N7 agent, that I know that you're firmly in the camp of it's the protagonist, and I'm firmly in the camp that it's the antagonist. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. But if this new N7 is an agent and the protagonist, do you think they are synthetic? Do you think that we could be playing a synthetic person? No? Immediately
a long
no?
time ago, and I think we actually spoke about this, but Casey Hudson, who, yes, he's not on Mass Effect anymore. We all know this, but he said that, Mass Effect is a story about humanity's, like, that's basically what he said. I can't find the direct quote. I was just trying to look for it. But so I think that it doesn't make sense with the Mass Effect that we know currently, narrative wise, to play a synthetic. Because I've always seen, and I know that there's a lot of people that want to play as aliens, which I totally understand in the Mass Effect world. I get it. But I've always seen Mass Effect as a very real life adjacent story about humanity. And that's part of why it's so interesting while also being immersive. And that's why I personally think that the story should stay from a human perspective.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to play a synthetic. I think it would be great if they brought back Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, because people really love playing other races and stuff like that. I just, narrative wise, I really like that the story is so connected to humanity, and
Mhm.
I don't think that that's a synthetic. To me, I think it's just a human, and I think that the helmet shape is just odd. I don't think that there's any major, like, because I know that, you know, I think I've seen you say that the head shape is weird, and it
Yeah.
is. It's very weird, especially looking at it from this perspective.
Yeah.
It looks like it's cutting into, but at the same time, I think a head would still fit in there. It would be very tight.
It would be very,
It would be
very
very
tight.
tight, and I think that that's a design error. I'm
Mm.
still not sold on the helmet anyways, so personally, I hope it goes through a little bit of a redesign and
Right.
they see some of that feedback. But yeah, no, I think this is a human. I think, you know, everything about it is very human. The way that they walk, all their limbs, their fingers, it's just, it screams human to me.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just, the one thing that I get very hung up on is the helmet. But
The helmet is weird.
it's too
It's
weird,
weird.
Cal. But the eyes too. Like, I mean, I've gone on multiple rants and people know I've gone on multiple rants on stream. It seems really strange, the eye placement. Like, I've tried putting an average human head into this helmet and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't make it make sense.
I think
in
it
my
makes
head.
sense. Like, when I look at it, I can see where a human would fit, but
Well, you're the artist, so I might have to defer to you.
but I still think that design wise, some of the helmet is just very weird, and I really like the way the helmet looks from the side and the back. I think are really good. Like, I really like the sleekness of the side of the design, but I do not like the way that the helmet looks from the front. It
Right.
looks like a motorcycle helmet, and I really don't like it. I don't.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's almost too simple for
Right.
me. Same with these shoes. I don't really like
Oh,
the
the
shoes.
shoes, Kala. That's the one thing that I think just I really, really dislike. It seems like a mockery of the N7 program. I just would an
just so
N7 wear it?
simple.
Would an N7 wear that into battle?
No,
Like,
and that's part of why my whole N7 agent theory exists, because I don't think that is a set built for
oh,
battle. I don't think that's
you think it's like a stealth?
active combat gear. I think that's more built for stealth. I mean, the shoes look like they are quiet. You know, there's no heavy metal clinking around like there would be with, you know, a standard armor set. Everything
Right.
about this just screams secrecy and the silencer on the gun, and it's just very stealthy, which is, you know, part of why I have that whole theory. But yeah, I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make about the helmet. I don't, you know, it's been a while. It's been 4 months. Wait, it's been 5 months. Holy shit.
5 months,
It's
yeah.
been 5 months.
Feels
since
like a
N7
month,
Day.
but
Well, I can't believe it's actually been that long. Yeah, and the longer I sit on it, honestly, the less I like this, which is kind of a bummer. Like I said, I like the armor from the side, or I like the helmet from the side and from the back. And I like I like the shoulder pads and the length of the jacket, but
right.
I don't like the shoes. I think they're way too simple, and I'm not a huge fan of like what's underneath, and I think the jacket's too simple. I don't know. It's just a very weird armor set to see in Mass Effect.
Right. Well, here's my question then, right? This is why I don't think this is the protagonist. Because if we look at any huge RPG nowadays, like Baldur's Gate 3, Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out, whenever you're creating your own character, it's fully customizable. Like in Mass Effect, in the Legendary Edition, all you could customize was your character's face. Like that's essentially it. But nowadays, you're able to customize your character's like body, like the length of your legs, the thickness of your chest, you know, like all of these types of things. So do you think they would reveal in a setting like this, like on an N7 day, before they're able to like kind of go off and, you know, after Dreadwolf is released and stuff, do you think that they would kind of lock in a default version protagonist, kind of like what they did in the past with obviously Jane and John Shep? Do you think that that's what they would do? Because that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't think this is the protagonist, because this character already has their own vibe. But
And you know,
what if people want to customize that? What if they don't want to be like a infiltrator vibey person, you know? Like that to me, it kind of, it seems like it's limiting the player, which is why I'm reluctant to be like, this is the protagonist.
And I think if this was someone in any other armor set, I would totally agree that this would be an antagonist or whatever, because of the mannerisms and just the overall portrayal of them in this video. I would totally agree. But N7, the branding is the branding of Mass Effect. Every piece of merchandise that they sell, aside from the characters, has the N7 red, white, black, you know, insignia.
Oh yeah.
It is what defines Mass Effect. And that's why they're able to, you know, it's right here. We're looking at that branding. I don't see there being any way that they would rebrand the N7 like, you know, identity and be like, hey, for these last 4 games, an N7 has always been, you know, a paragon of good, a just the person that you are and the person that you're controlling and the person that leads this franchise, and then change it and be like, actually they're the enemy now. That's why I don't like, I don't see that being a real possibility, because I just cannot see them branding anything, you know,
Negative.
antagonistically with the N7 logo. I just don't think that that's possible.
Right. No, yeah, that makes complete sense. I definitely agree. I don't think like, I think I had like a theory probably closer to when this got released that maybe this was like a bunch of just generic synthetic like N7s that were going to be like the bad guys, but I definitely don't think that's going to be where they go. I just, after listening to the music in the trailer, and like it seems like it screams bad guy, which is, I mean, my current prevailing theory is I think it is like one singular antagonist, like either the benefactor or whoever. And it's not going to be like a trend of, you know, the N7s are bad, but just everything surrounding that reveal, where we were slowly getting like alliance packets. And then the last alliance packet that we got, I don't think I have it here to show you guys, but the last alliance packet that we got, it said like, warning, security breach, contact systems alliance, or something like that, right? And that was the last package we got before seeing this character reveal, you know, and seeing that final turn and realizing, oh, this wasn't Shepard like we all thought, but it was some random N7.
God, the way I thought it was Shepard.
Oh man,
God.
oh
my God.
I was ready to just scream.
Dude, when they showed that second clip not showing the head,
yeah,
I'm not even kidding. I immediately started sobbing. My brain, you know, it's, and I think this is a problem with Mass Effect in itself, is like, you know, like I said, the N7 thing is Mass Effect. But when I saw that N7, I was like, holy shit, it's Shepard.
Yeah.
And my mind immediately, no other thought. That first and second video, during that second video, my brain was like, there is no way this is anyone other than Shepard.
And they knew what they were doing too. Like,
yeah,
there's no way.
I think that's what frustrates me. That's what frustrates me. Like, but at the same time, it's all very complicated, because at the same time, how do you tease a new protagonist? How do you tease a new N7 how do you tease a new character with that iconic Mass Effect branding
Yep.
without people associating with Shepard? Like, it's impossible at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is, they're in very dangerous territory with that, I guess, is because a lot of people thought that was going to be Shepard when they turn around.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that's not our fault. That's not, you know, the Mass Effect team's fault either.
It's just the way it is.
It's just how Mass Effect kind of is right now. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. The longer I think on it, the more I don't think that it's Shepard. You said a little bit ago that you thought that maybe a bunch of like several N7s could be the antagonist. And
yeah, I don't believe that anymore, but
yeah,
that was early days.
We've all had a million and one theories.
Mm-hmm.
But we know of 7 current, is it 6 or 7 N7s in the entire Mass Effect universe that have existed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Anderson,
I think it's either
Shepard.
it's in the single digits.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So there's no way they can show another N7 without it being very significant and also being something that has to have pretty big relevance. I don't think it's going to be Ryder. I don't think there's any way that this is Ryder.
No. I just wanted to bring up this excellent point that Zito and Ryder just made. And they say, like, I think that if they pull another Alex Ryder N7 thing, it will anger many fans. And for those who don't know, when Mass Effect Andromeda was coming out, they used an incredible amount of N7 marketing, like insane amount. I was so shocked when I watched the back hella. I was like,
same.
They completely gave the fan base the wrong impression. They totally full on. They even had, I think, a Ryder looking character in the N7 armor in one of their like super like cinematic trailers. So yeah, this is why the fan base is very I don't know the right word, but we're at a point where it's a little hard to when they present new N7 stuff like this, we're a little on edge. We're a little bit like, are they pulling another Alec Ryder? Are they pulling another, we're going to show Alec Ryder as the N7 in all of the promos, and then just kidding, you're their, you know, you're their child who is not an N7. Hesitant. Yes. No, thank you so much, Fang. Hesitant. We can't fully get behind something that is given N7, given the N7 branding, because we don't want to get burned again, right? Like they've already burned us once, and it's at a level of like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, like we don't want to get fooled twice again. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I fully agree with you that if we just look at like anything to do, like if I had to open up the BioWare store right now, everything is N7 themed. I mean, like I'm right now, I'm wearing an N7 hoodie. I'm wearing an N7 hat.
Because
I have an N7 cup. Like this is Mass Effect.
It is, yeah.
Which is why I do agree with you that the next protagonist is probably going to be an N7. And yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me to have customizable aliens and stuff like that as the protagonist. I definitely do think the way forward is going to be with N7s, but you know my unhinged theories. I do think it's going to be Shepard coming back, and I don't think that this is going to be the new protagonist. But do you want to jump into that a little bit, into the Shepard what is the trailer showing? And also, I found this new thing, Kala.
Oh gosh.
I found this new thing, and I'm not going to be talking about it here because this is going to be 100% a video. But I found this new thing in the trailer, and I'm very, very, very excited for it because I think it definitely confirms that Shepard's coming back.
Oh.
And I feel really bad that I can't say anything more about it, but yeah. So when I'm going to be talking about it, it's with the full understanding that I do think Shepard is coming back. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this kind of just the end bit with the N7 insignia getting picked up, and yeah, what do you think? Because like, one, I guess, do you think Shepard's coming back? And two, if Shepard comes back, how do you think they relate to the new N7 that has been hinted at?
Okay.
Oh, hang on.
I
Just
think about this.
sorry, just
all the
1
time.
second.
Oh,
I
go ahead.
just got this quick super chat from Arc Reload for the
Oh, that's
£6. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I just want to get to their comment first. Really, really appreciate these £6 there. Let me just get your comment here. Okay, so post Reapers, AI advances may blur human synthetic lines, while human, this N7 may require sophisticated cell tech, hinting a greater threat than the Geth. Okay, so what Arcrelod is saying about the new N7, just really quickly so we can hit on this.
Yeah, no, I agree with what he said here. I do think that is basically what we're going to see, and I think it makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. Because, yeah, like, I think something to keep in mind is in the first game, like, the Reapers were the hugest big bads. Like, Reapers wanting to annihilate and harvest every single organic race. How are you gonna up that, right? How are you gonna kind of
And I
change
don't think
that?
they
Which is why I think which is why I think that Arcrelod is onto something, because the way that you kind of change that is, oh, what if the line starts blurring? And what if the big bad isn't going to be just this huge, gigantic synthetic? It's going to be some kind of synthetics are becoming more like organics, or, you know, something like that. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, two things. Part of why my N7 agent theory is built on the foundation that the next game will be setting up a smaller scale story as like a reintroduction into the series. So yeah, I agree with everything that's being said here, but I think that the next game is going to be similar to Mass Effect 1. While there is a larger threat building, it isn't the main focus, and we don't have the full context for it because, number one, I think I hate to like say this and I hate to be negative, but you know, I made a whole video on how I'm not super sure Mass Effect 5 is even going to happen unless Dreadwolf knocks it out of the park.
No, I agree. I just released a video today for my members, and it's going to be available on Monday for everybody.
And
I agree.
Yeah. And that
It's
sucks.
Dreadwolf.
Like it sucks to think about that. So when I think about what they're doing now, I assume that they're probably working on a story that is somewhat isolated, but could be expanded upon in the future if they get the opportunity to even make sequels. So that's how I look at it. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what a new type of threat could be, but I do think that this next game will be a smaller scale game.
Right.
As far as the N7 thing being to Shepard.
Okay, yeah, let me get the
So we all love that trailer. It hits right in the feels. There's so much nostalgia in that tiny trailer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've probably seen the clip with Liara Rupert, who was at IGN at the time, and she said that she spoke with BioWare devs this was right after this trailer came out.
Right.
And they told her that the next game was going to be basically in the Andromeda timeline, set 600 years in the future. Liara is much older. That's pretty much what she says verbatim.
Right.
Have you seen that?
I don't think I have seen that.
Yeah,
So I'm actually not too familiar.
It's in a few of my videos, but Liana Rupert is very, very close, or she was when she, she's done a lot of stuff with BioWare. So, and that was one of the very first things that came out after this trailer. And it
So you're
didn't
thinking that's
really
an
catch a
inside?
lot of what's that?
Sorry, do you think that's like an insider, like?
Well, she said it in an interview. She said it in like an IGN interview. And it wasn't like the focus of the interview. It was kind of more like an offhanded gaming related news, kind of just offhanded comment. But I think about it all the time. Okay.
Okay.
Because number one, Liana Rupert, she was very tied into BioWare. She did a lot of stuff. She covered their games like crazy. And the idea of her getting insider information seems plausible, whether someone like said it to her in passing and it wasn't meant to be resaid, though, is probably the controversial part of that. But she did say that. So I just so everybody knows, I think about this all the time. There was an IGN reporter who did say that she had confirmation that this next game takes place 600 years in the future and Liara is older.
Oh,
that's what she said.
My goodness. That is crazy.
So
dude.
Yeah, there wasn't and like I said, she's not someone that I would okay, I don't think that's very fair to bring up why she was let go, because that's not relevant to anything whatsoever.
Right.
Her reporting has always been very the way that she has always reported was always full of integrity. BioWare really, really liked her, and like I said, they worked with her. So that's why I think that what she said could be real. And it was said right after the trailer, and like I said, maybe they changed their plan. Maybe she wasn't supposed to know that. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be redistributed. I don't know.
That's crazy.
But I think about it all the time. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. If you can find that, I will 100% put it on here. You can email me or anything. That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe you have it. Yeah, I know I put it in. Gosh, I think it's in my Andromeda video.
Okay.
I'll have to double check. But so yeah, I think about that quite often, and when I think about when I think about Liara and her wrinkles, and I think, hey, I went like a psycho and looked at her face model, and her face model does not have all those eye wrinkles.
Yeah.
And doesn't look like she's aged very much. So it's really hard for me to be like, oh, they just got that from her. No, those eye lines were modeled very specifically, very meticulously. So that's why it's very hard for me to be like, yeah, Shepard's going to return. Because in what world do they bring back Shepard after 600 years and Shepard doesn't have any of their original crew? Because at that time, everyone except basically Liara and Rex would be dead.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. But I always do think of that clip as a very real possibility. And I don't know if it again, I don't know if that was just misinformation, if it wasn't supposed to be shared, what the context was behind it, because she doesn't, it's weird because she says it as a very offhanded comment.
Right.
So yeah, it's just super weird. I'm looking through my old videos. I know that I've mentioned it maybe 2 or 3 times. So just I am looking for it.
No worries. Yeah. I guess while you look for that, I'll give my thoughts on that as well, because I have never heard that before, that someone that was like, had some insider information
And so
said,
that's the thing is she's not a leaker.
right, she has
she's
integrity
not,
and she,
yeah.
yeah.
It's in my second ever video. Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay,
Thanks, Doc.
so she's not like a leaker. She wouldn't have revealed that information if she didn't think that it was allowed to be known. So okay, let me see here. Ooh, ew, listening to my old videos makes me dead inside.
Oh, man.
My god.
Dude, it
Okay,
just
here's the clip though.
save
Here,
though.
let me link it to you.
Yes, please.
I'll send it in Discord.
Sure.
It starts at
Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna
124.
24. Okay. Do you want to like listen to it?
Yeah.
It's an interview?
Put it up so that people can see it.
Okay. 1 second. Technological things and me are just. This is gonna be a struggle.
Okay. Yeah, it's 124.
Okay. Just get the inside. Okay, so 124. All right, let's listen to this.
Information regarding.
Oh, hang on. Let me just pause the music for us. Okay.
Timeline of the next game. In May of 2021, after the trailer was released, Liana Rupert, who was a Game Informer at the time, did an interview and seemingly got confirmation regarding the timeline of the next game.
Obviously, we know Liara's much older. I would put her at now around 800 years, given off the trailer, and also I've confirmed that she's much older with the BioWare devs as well. So we know it's very much set in the future.
So, if this is true, it
What? Also, let me like this. Did everybody hear that? Was I the only one that heard that, or you guys were able to hear that? Wait, Callie, did I just lose you? Are you still there?
Oh no, I was listening to the clip because I wanted to hear it again.
Sorry, apologies. What? Okay. Yeah, just this. So somebody that was in the know basically said, okay, thank you so much, Arquilad. Somebody said, she confirmed this with the BioWare devs,
Yeah,
that
that's
she's
what she
older.
said.
Okay, then we need to come up with an explanation for this then.
I'm still not convinced though. That's the thing is like I bring this up in my videos every now and then because if we do get a reveal and the next game does take place maybe in like 2819, which we did see in last year's, thing. Number one, I would be mad.
No.
I
look,
would be mad.
Garrus, how do you explain this? Like, the only explanation I could think of is if she 100% felt comfortable reporting that
That's
they
why
had
it's
to have
very
flip-flopped. They must have flip-flopped because I don't see like, this is Garrus, right? Like, we're both pretty convinced that this is Garrus with his little eye.
I don't know if that's Garrus. I personally
Wait, no,
I
Kala,
think
don't
it
break my
looks
heart like this.
him. I think it looks like him, but I also don't think it looks like him. Because number one,
What?
if I have to see Garrus with those legs from Andromeda, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm just gonna be. I do not like the way that the Turians look in Andromeda. But I will say though that we've only ever seen 2 Turians with visors, and they've both been companions. I don't know what it is with visors and Turians. I don't know why. I personally like when the visors are off, so I'm not a huge fan of them anyways.
Right.
But they've seemed to always been affiliated with a Turian that is like special, you know, a companion.
Right.
So that shape on that Turian is not 100% accurate to Garrus's visor. So
You're right.
I don't
No,
know.
yeah, you're right.
I don't know. But yeah, so
Dang.
so really, what do you think of that clip? Like,
Yeah.
if that is true, which again, I don't share that because I think that it's wrong or right or whatever. I genuinely don't know what to think of it.
Yeah. That is the first time I have ever heard that. So initial thoughts on it, absolutely mind blown. I'm not too familiar with her as a reporter or insider. So yeah, I can't really speak to the I guess like the correctness of it or the veritability of it, I guess. But yeah, that if she said that right after this teaser in 2020 and felt comfortable confirming that she talked with the BioWare devs and that Liara is older, is absolutely mind-blowing to me, because it's mind-blowing for a very specific reason that we just kind of talked about. The entire teaser trailer from the beginning to the end is basically throwing nostalgia at you. Like, it is just filled with references to Arcturus Station. It is zooming in on the Milky Way. It is showing Liara. You know, like there's so much in there where it felt like a trailer where it felt like what they were trying to convey in the trailer was we're gonna kind of go back to our Milky Way roots a bit. That's the impression that I got.
That's what
Andromeda
I get too.
is very much in the background there, you know? So for them to potentially do this, and if we're just pretend for a second that for sure it is gonna be 800 years in the future, is kind of misleading again. It kind of feels a little bit like the N7, like Alec Ryder wearing the N7, you know? And I'm not saying that
I
is what they
genuinely-
intended or anything like that, but just based off of hearing that clip, and if we had to take that as fact, I would say that the teaser trailer is misleading.
Yeah, I genuinely, like I said, I really, 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 really don't know what to think of that clip. I mean, like Beth said, it is old. So that came out right after the trailer. You know, that's been 4 years now. It's been a while. But while that is true, why would she say that?
I don't know.
And I also don't ever want, like, you know, I don't ever want anybody bothering her or sending her hate, which is part of why I don't actually bring it up that often, because
Agreed.
I don't want people to like blame her, or I don't know. You know how gamers are weird. But I think that whenever I think about the timeline of the next game, that clip is always in the back of my mind, because I think when I take a step back and I try to look at what I expect from the game, I expect that the next game is going to take place around 2819, but in the Milky Way galaxy, everyone will have passed, and we learn about them in the past content. That's just what I think would be the easiest thing to do ending wise to move the franchise forward. Is that what I want? No, that's not. No. Whenever I try to talk about my theories and stuff, I always want people to know that, honestly, if it were up to me, Shepard would be back. It would be right after the end of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
We'd be right back. But I just don't think that is what's going to happen, because BioWare has to market this game towards new people.
Yeah.
They have to bring in new people to this franchise, and that will be the largest demographic moving forward, because it's been, let's see, it's been 12
Since
years
07?
since Mass Effect 3. It's been 7 since Mass Effect Andromeda, and this game is not even in production yet.
Yeah.
So by the time it even comes out, it will have well been, 15 years, 15, 16, 17, I don't know, a very long time since Mass Effect 3. And they have to bring in new people to the franchise. So yeah, I don't know what to think. I think about that clip all the time though, and if it's true, I think I would be really disappointed. And I actually did make a video. I made a whole video like a weirdo analyzing Liara's face to see if I think she's older or not.
Yeah.
And I went back, looked at her high-res models, looked at all of her wrinkles, and you can see that her face has always had a lot of wrinkles when she smiles, but she has never had eye wrinkles the way that she does now in the trailer. And they added just enough wrinkles, just enough of a difference from her Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition model for the Citadel DLC to make it look like it could be a possibility. Or it could just be, this is just what she looks like now. Like it, we've never really seen Asari really age except for her mother.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what to think, but it drives me crazy.
Here's the question though, right? If we entertain the idea of them potentially having it take place in the Milky Way, but centuries after the endings, like in 2819, like you said, does anybody want that?
I know it's weird.
Let me make a poll. Like,
that.
No, but like that's what we're talking about, right? Like, there's so many times where you and I make theories, and we're like, I think that this could be a possibility, but it's not truly what we want. It's just kind of what we're interpreting and stuff, right? I haven't seen in any of my comments or anything online of people being like, yeah, let's for sure have a game set in the 2800s in the Milky Way. No one. Like,
no, I totally agree.
So if nobody wants it, and Mike Gamble has stated that they're going to do right by fans, and that they're making the next game for Mass Effect fans, right? Like, the rhetoric that he's giving is that the next game isn't going to just be for the new generation of fans. It's also going to be for the people that were there since 2007, since 2012. How could they possibly go forward with a large time jump like that? You know what I mean? Like, it just
no.
It doesn't make
100% agree.
It just doesn't make sense.
That's why that blows my mind that Liara Rupert did say that, because my first thought was, number one, why? Number one, if you're going to continue the story of Andromeda, which personally I don't really think they should be focusing on that personally, but if you're going to do that, why would you not just essentially give an actual Andromeda sequel? Like, if you're going to those lengths to do that, to jump to that timeline, to move that story, to push it there, then you kind of have to, like, ask yourself, well, then why aren't you just doing an Andromeda sequel if it feels like Andromeda is being prioritized like that?
Yeah.
Because that's what that sounds like to me when I hear that. And I just like want to say, like, I love Andromeda. Okay, I'm not an Andromeda hater by any means. I have a ton of criticisms for the game, and I do think that it would have been really great if it would have gotten a DLC. But I don't think we're ever going to get a true sequel. But if this next game is prioritizing Andromeda over the original trilogy in, like, the way that it's approaching its focus, I think that's a mistake.
I know, I agree.
I just, yeah.
Well, there's very little, and also the poll is up. by the way. So there's 4 different options there for, do you want to play a game set in the 2800s in the Milky Way? Yeah, nope. I'd play anything Mass Effect related, and I have no sweet clue. No, I agree, Kala, that like it is a very tricky line for the next game to kind of figure out how to best satisfy the majority of people, because it's unfortunate, but if there is too much Andromeda related things happening,
Yeah.
I think that they'll lose a lot of the fan base. Like it'll be exactly like the fool me once, fool me twice, and I don't think people like being fooled twice, you know? Like from everything we've seen though so far, like not even just the teaser trailer, but like this stuff as well. Like, you know, totally
I
get the cars.
I asked on my YouTube.
This like
I asked who people want as the next protagonist, and out of like, I think there was like by the end like 3,000 or 3,500 votes or something like that.
right.
60% said that they want a new protagonist.
Oh,
30 something said they want Shepard back.
Mhm.
And only 4% said that they want to see Ryder again.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that if they do focus on Andromeda too much, they will lose people.
No, yeah. I definitely agree. But everything we've seen so far, right? Like even this concept art of this place, like this isn't Andromeda.
Oh wait,
There
can
is
I,
no
can I
way.
say something really quickly?
For sure. Go ahead.
Mila, I think it's Mila. Yes, so the Dragon Age Inquisition trailer did have Leliana fighting when she looks normally, but in the actual game, Leliana has a face distortion from the time jump, and I do think about that, and I think I actually mentioned that in my video. So yes, they could be intentionally doing something deceptive like that to like throw us off, you know, with Liara or whatever. They
Mm,
could be intentionally obscuring that to make it look questionable, which I think could definitely be the case. So yeah, that is what they did with the Inquisition trailers. So they could be doing that again with, you know, with Mass Effect.
mm. Okay, yeah, I don't I don't remember that at all because I'm just I'm still a noob in Dragon Age. But yeah, with regards to, I think we both agree that it's probably going to be Milky Way centered, right?
It has, like, I genuinely think that it has to be.
Yeah.
I think number one, it has to be if they want to get the original fan base back, but also get the fan base that didn't enjoy Andromeda back. And you'd also have to assume that anyone playing Andromeda enjoyed the original trilogy enough to actually, you know, play Andromeda in the first place. So that there's no loss there if they focus on the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Plus, we've already seen, like, this picture that you have up, that's Ilium.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that that's Ilium. If you look at the concept art, that exact building is in Ilium. That one on the right, that large one, literally in
One.
Ilium. That is, I have no doubt that this is Ilium.
Okay.
Plus the Omega signs.
Yeah.
None of those were in
Andromeda
Andromeda.
at all. No, yeah, I definitely agree. Which is why I'm just like, if you're gonna make it set in the Milky Way, I guess it goes a little bit back to the original thing that we were talking about, right? With the black holes and like just all of this stuff. Like, do you think they're gonna do something messed up time-wise? Do you think there's going to be time jumps? Do you
know.
think there's going to be time jumps backward? Because I totally forgot to put it up here, but you and I have both covered on our channels the concept art by Marco Ayazi, where there is exploding stars. there is multiple shots of both galaxies being shown. And now the thing that we kind of brought up today that Xenowriter first brought up is, what if we're hearing black hole stuff? Like, what do you think that they would mess with time? Not to like mess with like the timeline and like, you know, jumping backward in time to grab people from the past and stuff like that. Like, I don't personally subscribe to that theory.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
I think that
that'll make it a bit of a that'll
Like-
make it too. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What all I was just gonna say is though, like, I think that, like I said earlier, when I think about Mass Effect, I think that it's a alternate timeline of basically where we're in, like, of our life. Like, this could be the future if, you know, aliens were real. And I think that's part of why it's exciting, is because yes, it's far-fetched. Yes, it's kind of, you know, very out there with the aliens and the Reapers and whatever. But it feels also grounded to an extent, being in, you know, some type of reality. So when I think about them adding any like time concepts, I think the only one that I think that I would like enjoy is a smaller scale, like fluctuations of time or something like that, where there is messages getting lost in space because of like pockets due to like anomalies in space from the Crucible blast, or the Scourge being in the Milky Way, and we find out that there was tech involved behind it that people knew about, and people in the Milky Way had it, or even the Jardan being in the Milky Way, they have it, or something like that. But I
Right.
think that there still has to be like a good science element to it, without seeming
Like it's reaching
without seeming so far-fetched.
without kind of like blurring the line between like almost sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, and I think that the end of Mass Effect 3 leaned too much into the fantasy aspect. And I
Oh,
think that,
yes.
yeah, I think that's why there's so many questions and so much that it feels unresolved, because they left it up to the fantasy element and didn't rely on the more sci-fi that we know from the franchise. So I hope moving forward that it is more of a sci-fi focus, instead of being like oh
Dipping
hey,
its toes
we
into fantasy.
traveled in all of these different time and alternate universes, or like anything, I guess, so out there like that.
No, yeah, definitely. No Doctor Who vibes, yeah, from Happy Thoughts. Yeah, like it's very interesting. I think that they're not they don't want to go into the fantasy-esque realm that they kind of dip their toes in with, you know, the catalyst and stuff like that. Because I think we had mentioned it on some past stream. Mass Effect Andromeda was very much the opposite of that. Like, it was completely grounded in science. If you look at the codex for stuff, like, it's so much more like talking about scientific concepts, and anytime you're scanning anything in the game, like, you get just so much information, like down to the you know, when you're scanning planets, I feel like it provided a lot more information than the original trilogy did. So I do think they're not going to go into the fantasy-esque realm of, like, you know, trying to be more fantasy sci-fi. But yeah, the one thing that I can't quite figure out is, and maybe this is just because, like, they don't want to give us all the information yet, because they can't confirm anything until Dreadwolf releases and they know, okay, greenlit, we're going to go ahead with this, and this is going to be for sure a thing. But all of the teasers that, you know, we've kind of seen have not nailed down a timeline at all. Like, at all, besides for the Milky Way stuff, and this kind of thing in the bottom left corner with the 2190, maybe could be 2890, we don't know. But yeah, I do think the only way that we could have a time thing happening is potentially from Andromeda to the Milky Way. But again, that's like, that in and of itself is very far-fetched because, you know, I think when I discussed it in my dark energy theory, it was like, you know, backwards time travel obviously isn't a thing that's grounded in science. So it definitely is tricky. Do you want to go into some of your dark energy theory stuff? Because I do have your video here. Is there anything you kind of want to touch on there, or do you want to touch on something else?
Sure. Actually, you know what? Bring up that tweet from Gamble, the one that I sent you.
Okay, yeah, 1 second. I got it. I just need to insert it into my OBS here. 1 second. Okay, so the one where the positive vibes one, right?
Yes.
This one.
I want to bring up Drew Karpyshyn left BioWare because he said it basically became too corporate and it sucked the love out of his job and he wasn't enjoying himself anymore. If you're a fan of Drew Karpyshyn, I'm sure you've probably heard of Exodus, where he is the lead writer for now. He basically said that Exodus and Archetype Entertainment, the studio behind Exodus, feels like the early days of BioWare, where they're very creative and it's very exciting. So if you're a Drew Karpyshyn fan, I would check out Exodus if you haven't. But
Definitely.
I wanted to bring up this tweet here because the second sentence is very interesting to me. He says, "It's also cool to see your excitement for how things might change and your areas of caution." And this was in a tweet that this is a reply for just everything for Mass Effect Day.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mass Effect Day was pretty interesting with everything that we saw. Obviously, there wasn't like some major reveals or anything like that. I just think the way that he's saying and like preemptively kind of not warning the fan base, but like saying things might change and saying that, you know, but we also know that you guys are cautious about change. You said before that Gamble feels really dialed into the fan base, and he absolutely does. So him saying stuff like this, I just find it really, really interesting. I mean, what do you think about what he's saying here?
Yeah. Again, I think that it just goes to show that he, like, I have no doubt that he, and part of his job is to know where the fan base is at. Because I think I don't have the tweet on hand, but somewhere after like the teaser trailer got released, and maybe after N7 Day 2021, somebody just kind of added him and was like, have we been figuring things out? Like, are we getting close? And he specifically replied with something like, people have been getting close in like the dark areas of the internet, you know, like on those just random boards.
Interesting.
Yeah, like that. So to me, that's like, that basically means he's scrolling through everything. Like, he's not just scrolling through like the Reddit threads and stuff like that and just like the Twitter things where, you know, like we're posting stuff. Like, he's going into the very, like, you know, the dark edges of the internet, I guess is the way that he had put it, to see what people are saying. So to me, this tweet 100% just confirms like what he had said back then. He knows where we're at on everything. I mean, I also don't have it here, but the blog post from this past N7 Day, where he was like, we hear you and we see what you want to see in the next game. Like, what does a baby Volus look like? What about all the galaxies? And then the classic, what about S dash?
Yeah,
what about the ending? So he gets it. He's showing us that he's on top of it. And this is the franchise director of Mass Effect. You know, like he is gonna dictate where this series goes. So to me, like this tweet, 100%, like that gives me a lot of positive vibes, and just, I mean, I guess in the tweet it says positive vibes, but it gives me a lot of oh man, what's the word I'm looking for here? It helps me feel a little bit more, yes, like optimistic for where they are going to take it, where they are going to take the next game, because they have someone like Gamble at the helm who is paying close attention to the fan base. Which is why whenever we're kind of talking about, you know, and I guess this would be a good time for me to check the poll. I have not checked where that's at. How do I enlarge this? Yeah, so the poll, do you want to play a 2800s game in the Milky Way? 42% said no. But it is also important to keep in mind, 37% said I'd play anything Mass Effect.
Yeah, and that's
right?
that's super true. Yeah.
That's huge, right? Like no matter where the next game goes, there's going to be a huge portion of this fan base that is just going to pick up the game. And maybe the Mass Effect team does know that. Maybe that is why they would do something as crazy as having a Milky Way setting where, yeah, like only maybe Liara and Rex are the only ones around. But I also think that because he's so on top of things, he has to see that there's a large portion of the fan base that's also like, that would be kind of sad, you know? And I would feel really, really bad, you know, just for, like, we won't be able to see Garrus. We won't be able to see Tali. And obviously we could always replay the trilogy, but yeah, it's interesting. It's super interesting. I will say though, this tweet generally gives me optimism, cautious optimism about where the next game is going.
Yeah, no,
Also,
and I totally agree. I absolutely agree. I really do think that he is pretty dialed into the fan base, like, you know, we keep saying. I just think that at the same time, there is a very real chance that they could get it wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm working on this video about what I think makes Mass Effect. You know, is Mass Effect more than Shepard? Is Mass Effect this or that? And why didn't it work for Andromeda? And it's just a really hard thing to contextualize and like nail down what it really means to like what Mass Effect really is, because everybody's interpretations are so different. Everybody has different things that they love in the trilogy, and there are people that did love Andromeda. And you know, Gamble was a producer on Andromeda. He's not going to abandon it. I just hope that they don't focus it as, you know, I just hope that it doesn't become the main driving force, is my concern. We've seen a lot of Andromeda teasers, and I know that they know that. They know that they're sharing a lot of Andromeda stuff. So, you know, last N7 Day with the 2819 very specific Andromeda reference for the timeline. To me, red flag. Not a red flag like it's bad, but to me, red flag is like, whoa, please, I don't want to go back to Andromeda. I don't.
I don't think that, like, again, I feel like we say that they're kind of like confusing us, but they have just, it almost makes me feel like they're just throwing things out there and then trying to gauge our reactions to it. And then them maybe deciding, you know, if they're hearing a lot of people, you know, like you and me being like, we don't want to go back to Andromeda. And those are kind of the, you know, the majority of the fan base's like thoughts on it, then they wouldn't go there. Do you think that maybe like in this kind of period before Dreadwolf gets released, do you think that this is kind of what they're trying to do, or whatever they are kind of showing us are bits and pieces of what they're going to go ahead with 100%?
See, I don't necessarily think that they're basing it off of fan reactions, and I also don't think that they should. I think that they need to tell the story that they think that they need to tell. I think that they have to, they need to make a story that is true to what they want to tell, to where they want Mass Effect to go, to what they think should, be the future of the franchise. And, yes, they need to take feedback from the fans. Yes, they need to take into consideration what fans have been saying for years, and I'm sure they are, which has kind of been apparent with Gamble. But I just think that if you cater to everything that the fans say, you're going to get a rise of Skywalker from Star Wars.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I've never so viscerally hated a film the way that I did, because it was so disingenuous in its approach. It was like, hey, remember all those things that you really liked? We don't know what the fuck to do, so here's a bunch of that. And that's
It was a disaster.
what it was. It was like they didn't know what to do, so they just did things that they thought that original fans would like, and it was just so disrespectful to the franchise and the characters, and I have so many thoughts about that movie.
Yeah.
But that is what you get when there was a post going around after that movie came out, and it was like written by Reddit. And it essentially was.
That's
like,
what it was. Yeah.
Yes, it was written by people who are riding on the coattails of nostalgia, who don't want growth. And I think that, yes, Mass Effect has to grow and move forward, and they can do that in a good way. They can do that in a way, with or without Shepard. I don't know, but just they have to tell a story that's true. They can't just go to Reddit and be like, here's what Reddit's saying they want us to do. It's just very dangerous territory.
No, yeah. And I think that the fact that they brought in people like Mary DeMarle and stuff, like, she's not gonna do a Reddit style story, like she is gonna do the story that they want to tell. So yeah, I subscribe more to the thought that they have their own story in mind. And yeah, like, I don't know, I guess my mind's kind of also on like I just finished up Final Fantasy Rebirth, and that game, I'm not going to spoil anything, by the way, but that game struck the perfect note, in my opinion, between nostalgia and the new stuff. Like, you can play that game without playing anything prior to it, and you would have such a good time. But the things that they did add to the game, where, if you're in the know and you've played the remake, you've played the original, it's a better experience. And I hope that that's what the next Mass Effect game is. Where it's not in your face like, yeah, you needed to have played Andromeda, you needed to have played Legendary Edition. And I don't think that's what it can possibly be, because like you mentioned earlier, like, we don't know when this thing's going to come out. Like, the majority of players that are going to play this upcoming game will probably be new players, and will be that kind of base for Mass Effect going forward. So I hope that the next game really does just, it's its own thing. It's its own thing, but it's the way that they add the nostalgia and the way that they add the, if you know, does bring back the original fans. And that the people that played the OG, like Mass Effect 1 in 07, they do feel like, hey, whatever was just shown in that scene, or whatever that Easter egg just was, I know it. Like, I understood that, and I know that other fans might not have. Not to like one up the people that haven't, played the originals and stuff like that, but they feel seen, they feel heard. And it's just a little wink, between the devs and the old fan base. Like, that's what I primarily want it to be.
I think, okay, someone in the chat said,
I can click it
there's
on.
two things. Someone said, Kayla, you're one person. I love Andromeda and want a sequel. And you're totally right. I am just one person. And I know that there's tons of people that do want a sequel. but, and I'm not saying this with any malice whatsoever. I know that there are a ton of people that love Andromeda and want an Andromeda sequel, but as a Mass Effect content creator, the amount of people that hate Andromeda are very, very prevalent. I make plenty of Andromeda content where I defend Andromeda. I talk about all the teasers and how to connect the trilogy and Andromeda to the next game. And I delete so many comments, and I also don't delete so
Oh,
many
yeah.
comments that are from people who are, I would say, are your average gamer who probably played Andromeda one time, hated it, or didn't even play it and hate it because, that's the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
So yes, I know that there are people who love Andromeda, but the reality of it is that Andromeda did not get the ratings that a Mass Effect game should get. It didn't live up to the original trilogy, and that's just a fact. Like, the reviews from the fans, from the professionals, like from the, reviewers, like
Mhm.
it got okay and good reviews, but it didn't excel the way Mass Effect did. And I think there's like a reality to that people also need to accept, is like, yes, people love Andromeda. Yes, there are Andromeda fans. I am one of them. But the reality is that if they made an Andromeda sequel with the current state of Mass Effect that it is now, we would probably not get another game.
Yeah.
So there, Mass Effect Andromeda really soured a lot of Mass Effect fans on the franchise. I still get people in my comments who are like, after Andromeda, I don't trust BioWare. I'm never
Yeah.
playing Mass Effect ever again.
Yeah.
I get comments like that all the time.
Oh,
and in
yeah.
my mind, I'm like, dude, you're literally watching videos about Mass Effect. You're going to buy the next game. Shut up. But there is still a lot of, disdain, even though I will say that, like, looking back at the reviews and kind of the general fan base reaction to Andromeda now, it has shifted, which is how a lot of things go. People become more, in favor of something over time, usually is the case.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm not saying Andromeda is bad. I'm not saying it didn't deserve a sequel. It did. But in the greater context of the fandom, in the greater context of what will sell financially, a sequel to the original trilogy will far outsell a sequel to Andromeda. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So that's what when I talk about all the stuff, that's just what I'm referring to. I don't, hate on Andromeda. I don't have any malice towards it whatsoever. I really enjoyed the game. I've played it several times. So, and I think everybody should play it.
Oh, yeah.
I just tried to, take myself out of it and like look at the sales numbers and look at the backlash and look at the reality. Like, a studio closed. People got death threats. People lost their jobs. Like, there was so much more behind that game than just, yeah, it's a very complicated issue. And I think Andromeda will be involved in the next game, but not to a very large capacity, because I just don't think it will sell as much as a greater focus on the original trilogy would.
Yeah. And to go off of that point, like, if we just look at the BioWare store, there's one or two Andromeda.
They don't make Andromeda merch. They don't focus on it.
Yeah, like, that in and of itself, I think, tells you where the fan base is kind of at on the overall, like, your average Mass Effect fan. It's really sad. Like, it truly is really sad, because, like you mentioned, like, so many people just left, the industry because of just death threats and all of these types of things. And I don't think that, like, I've been covering a lot of Andromeda related theories on my channel recently, and I personally still wouldn't want it to be a major part of the next game. I do think that there are huge parts of it, though, that deserve to be in the next game, because they've been left on cliffhangers and it was genuinely interesting. Like the stuff on the Jardin, You know, like I wouldn't mind having some closure with the Geth. Like I personally didn't like them being the big bads, but like I would want some closure there. I do genuinely want to see where the Tempest crew could grow, because that crew was very similar to the Mass Effect 1 crew, where we just kind of got to know them, and I'm sure that the development team had character arcs for them in mind that we might not get to see. You know, so I definitely, I'm of the mindset exactly like you, Kala, where I do want parts of it to be in there, but I don't think it makes financially any sense for them to do that, which is why I don't think they will.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
just
agree.
the reality. Like, if you look at the BioWare store, there's not a lot of Andromeda related things, and that in and of itself tells you where they're at with that kind of story. Like, they would need to release this new game and have like Andromeda related things to be like a part of this new game, and if it's successful, then they'll put those types of things in the store. But until then, it is unfortunate that's just the way it is right now. But yes, I also saw that Beth told me to drink some water. I am going to definitely
drinking water.
drink some. I have not drunk water.
Thank you
I've only
for
drank
thinking
coffee.
about our well-being. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's very complicated, and that's something that the Mass Effect team is going to have to deal with. I don't think that Andromeda is a deal breaker because it does have a fan base. I just think that it can't be the main focus moving forward.
No, yeah,
Plus, there's
definitely.
way too many questions left unresolved in the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh yeah, do you want to kind of touch on those for a little bit? Which ones do you want to
Well,
dive
first off,
into?
as like a blanket statement, you know, there is, like, God, I think we explore as Shepard's journey like less than 5% of the Milky Way galaxy. So
Oh,
think of all the, yeah, it's a very, very tiny portion that Shepard actually explores.
right.
There is so much unexplored, so many things that we know nothing about. And Citadel or Council space is very small. So I guess when I think of, you know, Mass Effect 5, I just think that there's so much more that they could have done, that they could do still left in that galaxy. And there are so many small little pieces of lore that they set up in like the planet entries and the codex and just kind of
Mhm.
random things like that I think that they could also really focus on too.
Yeah.
So
Here was my thought on it though, right? Just from like a game development perspective, or just from like a in any series, you don't usually just stick with like the same kind of zone that you were in like in game 1 to game 2 to game 3 in Mass Effect. You were only in the Milky Way, and obviously they had to go to Andromeda because the Mass Effect 3 endings happened and there was a lot of problems, so they had to kind of ship over to a new galaxy. But do you think that they could get away with having another game, like when you're just from a how gameplay would work perspective, where you open up the galaxy map and you're still just only in the Milky Way, but instead of exploring the places you've already been, you're just clicking on different planets that weren't those original planets? Like, I personally don't think that would feel like a moving forward through the series type of
sorry,
a move.
I don't.
Does that make sense?
Can you explain that one more time?
Yeah,
I
so
don't
like
think I understand
so
what
like
you mean.
okay, so oh man, I'm trying to come up with a game that wouldn't be spoilery, that has like multiple games in it. Okay, I haven't played a lot of Dragon Age, but I guess a lot of people in that play Mass Effect play Dragon Age. From Dragon Age Origins to Inquisition, how much of the map like opened up in terms of the places you could visit?
You mean like
In terms of
over
like
the
percentage
course
wise of the
oh,
series?
I mean it expanded pretty big.
Yeah. So, do you think that from the trilogy to Andromeda having a new galaxy to this next Mass Effect game, do you think from a gameplay perspective they would just limit it to only the Milky Way. Similar to the trilogy, where they don't open it up a little bit more.
Yes, because for two reasons. Whenever I think about Mass Effect 5, I think about the development limitations. You know, I've seen people say, oh, they're going to give us, you know, 2 protagonists and we're going to be in both the Milky Way and Andromeda.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that Andromeda was created in Frostbite. Like, those assets are not as easily translated over to Unreal as it would be if it was Frostbite to Frostbite.
Right.
Not only that, but everything from Frostbite would have to be completely overhauled. Like the animations, the rigging, you know, the models, the textures. So the way I think Mass Effect 5 is being handled, because it essentially has to, is everything is being remade from scratch. You know,
Yeah.
you have Mass Effect, you know, Legendary Edition, which was on Unreal, but those are old models. Those are lower poly models than you would find in Unreal today.
Yeah.
Those are, you know, lower resolution textures than you would find. Actually, I think they were all upscaled to 4K, but those are still less detailed than you would find. Like, everything has to be remade from the ground up.
Yeah.
They're essentially setting the foundation up for a brand new game, but in a brand new world that they're recreating. And so all those things sound great. I don't think this first game would be set in 2 galaxies, because development wise, you have to think about that. They'd have to make 2 galaxy maps.
Yeah.
They would probably have to really focus on travel to be able to make that possible, which, I mean, that they might do, but
Well, with the black hole stuff, like...
yeah, I mean, yeah, if
It's-
that's the case, they would obviously have to focus on it. But there's just, development-wise, they're not capable of doing literally everything. You know, there are limitations there. And there's also, you know, time, money, all those other really fun constraints that they have to deal with as well, you know, overhead, whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that this next game will be setting up in 1 galaxy. Maybe we will go travel to another galaxy, but I don't think that would be in this first installment of, like, the future of Mass Effect, just with everything kind of going on right now, especially with things at BioWare.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense to me, because I think a lot of my more recent theories are trying to take into account, like, what makes sense from a development perspective. Because I've seen plenty of people in my community say things like, you know, we could have multiple protagonists, you know, or if we play as
Yeah, I
different
see that a
alien
lot,
species. Yeah, and I'm just like, just thinking from a game development perspective, that would be a nightmare. Because if you're having, if we're going to assume the same Mass Effect formula is going to be used in this game, as in the past games, you need to have a voiced protagonist. So if you have multiple protagonists, are you going to hire one voice actor and actress to kind of, you know, voice all of the protagonists? If you have multiple personalities for all of those protagonists, like, you're gonna have to create those arcs, you're gonna have to create those dialogue wheels. So yeah, I think something that is very important is to always take any kind of thought for what the next Mass Effect is going to be from a game development perspective, first and foremost. Because yeah, like with the, I think the recent example that I kind of covered was my theory on replacement, like replacing the models, and how with the Rachni Queen, what they basically did was they didn't even make a new model for the Rachni Queen clone. They basically just changed the dialogue a little bit and then changed the consequence. That's how they do things. If you decide to kill the Council in Mass Effect 1, then they basically just replace the models, but they have them in the exact same scenes. They replace the dialogue, so you do feel a consequence, but they don't, like, alter the game to an extent of, like, you know, it's gonna break the game. Because they already have, like, enough bugs and coding problems. So yeah, I definitely think that your take on the it needs to be kind of simplistic, and they can't do like a multiple 2 galaxies thing. Like, well, they could make it work, but again, with the time constraints, with the money constraints, it would be crazy for them to do multiple galaxies, both the Milky Way and Andromeda. So
And not only that, but the, BioWare right now, I hate talking about this, but it's running on fumes. It does not have anything. BioWare itself does oh my god, I can't talk. No longer has its live service game. It doesn't have
Right.
any income right now, really, aside from the gear store. And BioWare itself has to operate on Dreadwolf, and Dreadwolf has to recoup almost 10 years of development and
which is crazy.
make more for Mass Effect 5. We have to be realistic in terms of the scope and the project that they can deliver. Hopefully EA will invest into it. I think that Mass Effect is the bigger franchise than Dragon Age, like statistically.
I think
But-
so.
Yeah, I'm like 99% positive that it is. So, they have to put some effort into making sure that they are actively making sure that this game has what it needs. But this is not Grand Theft Auto 6. It is not
No.
a $2 billion dollar game. This is not a game that they can create on that scope. And yeah, that sucks, but it is the way that it is. So people need to I see a lot of fan theories, and I'm like, that is not realistic whatsoever.
It's
That
the
is just-
realism.
Yeah. I think
Or
some
realisticness, yeah.
fans need to get a little bit more grounded with what they expect.
Well, to that point then, what logically, I know I've gone over this a lot. I do think one galaxy makes the most sense. I think we're both pretty set on the Milky Way making more sense because of all the things where Andromeda just unfortunately isn't the more popular galaxy. So just trying to figure out if they are gonna do Milky Way, then why are they showing things like the exploding stars and stuff? Essentially, would they it'll be the Milky Way, but it won't be the Milky Way that we're familiar with.
See, I think they
And I'll
could
kind
be
of just put
setting
up
up,
your video here as well.
like a return to Andromeda maybe in the future. Maybe kind
yeah.
of test the waters, see how the fans are reacting towards things. I just still don't see that being, what we get now.
Right. Sorry, I was just checking the chat here. So, yeah, Tyler's saying, I think this game will tie up and provide closure for the trilogy while the ending will venture and hint to Andromeda. And then I think the sequel would then be a time jump.
Maybe.
Would that... Wouldn't you then still lose the fans from the trilogy, though? Because, I guess the one thing that I want to touch on here is you had a video where you asked, can the fan base move past Shepard? And if we kind of just think about it, and we think about this franchise, for it to survive, eventually needs to move past, Shepard, needs to move past Liara, needs to move past Garrus and Tali, all of these characters, not by being okay, yeah, your story's done by, you can still respectfully leave it on a good point. What is your thoughts on how they can respectfully, close off those stories, and move forward? I guess I also have some thoughts on this, but you go ahead.
Here's what I have kind of come to expect from the next game. I think that this is kind of based on everything that I've thought about for a really long time. That clip from Liara Rupert, after seeing so many fan base reactions. My expectations for the game is that I think we're going to be playing as a new N7. I think that Shepard and the crew will have been long gone. And again, I'm not saying that this is what I want. I'm just saying this is what I think it could be.
Yeah, the interpretation, like the
This is
theory,
just
not our want.
This is my interpretation.
Exactly.
And that pushing the timeline a few hundred years means that they can essentially merge all the endings and be like, oh, synthetics, the synthesis ending, people grew out of their green stuff and whatever.
People grew out of their green stuff.
Yeah, like once
That's
it's
it,
settled
though, right?
or something. Yeah, and like Control, Shepard helped rebuild the galaxy and then like left.
Yeah.
With Destroy, obviously that would be the easiest one to move forward from.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dog is like rolling around freaking out.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No problem.
So I just think that realistically, I've just come to think that what they're going to do with Shepard is that Shepard will be immortalized. Like Shepard will be the Shepard. Sorry, my dog's like choking.
No,
I don't know if you guys can even hear that. But,
I could hear it, but it's very,
Oh, okay.
it's very, very slight. But I heard that.
And I just think that we will hear about Liara tell stories about Shepard from the past tense. I think that she will tell us stories about Shepard's life. Maybe we will see the time capsule from Mass Effect 3. Like I think that the galaxy might honor Shepard. So sorry, doing it again. I'm like trying to have a serious conversation.
Yeah. It's amazing.
He drinks water and then he does that.
Oh,
he's fine. He's just
okay.
He's dramatic.
As long as your dog goes okay.
He's fine. He's just an idiot. So I guess I think that's what I'm expecting. But I will say though that I think the perfect way to bring back Shepard, if Shepard's not the protagonist, is in a way of making all of the endings still relevant to make it feel like people had a choice. Maybe if Shepard survived, we see vids of their life, or like there was evidence of life there, I guess.
Like almost like in the Marvel franchise, kind of like the Iron Man-esque things that we saw, like those like the in the first Spider-Man after Endgame, where you would see like random buildings with Shepard, like something like that.
Kind of like that. I think that Shepard will have to have a legacy if they don't move forward with Shepard. Like they will have to be like, your choices mattered, your story, and like Julia says, if that is the case, I think that they need to tell us now. And I think that maybe what that N7 from last year was the beginning of. I think if they, if we're not playing as Shepard, they have to prepare people. I think they have to, just releasing the Legendary Edition, a lot of original fans are rehashing all of their feelings from the original release and whatever. But then you also have a bunch of new fans who also are, feeling the importance of Shepard. So right now, oops, I just freaking kicked my dog. Did not realize he was under me. So
This dog fiasco is like the most entertaining side thing that's happening.
He's so chaotic. Oh my god. He's a menace. He's actually like trying to play with my feet under my desk.
Oh
so,
no.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I totally forgot what I was saying.
Sorry, you were talking about...
Oh yeah, I was saying, new fans, love Shepard too. Like Shepard is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So if I genuinely don't know how they're going to move on if they do, because they've already tried it and it didn't go so well.
No, it did not.
But then again, Ryder was kind of the exact opposite of Shepard.
Yeah.
Ryder was essentially a kid, and they were kind of fumbling their way through everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how Shepard was at all. And I think that was a very big detriment to Shepard that they made such a different protagonist following in Shepard's footsteps.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hats off to them because that's gotta suck figuring out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh no.
that's gotta be the pressure. And we've seen Gamble say like, we'll do right by you. We'll do
Yeah.
right by the fans. This is for Mass Effect fans. So I don't know what that means.
Well, I feel really bad because I have a lot of thoughts on this, specifically from the new thing that I found in the trailer.
God.
I guess I'll the thing that I'll say on it is I do think that Shepard is definitely coming back. Yeah, I'm more convinced because of this new thing, which I'm
sure
so
you don't
sorry.
Want to say what it is? Are you sure? We're all gonna watch the video anyways.
No, I know. It's one of these things where I need to present it in video format so that I can show you guys. Like, I showed Fang. Fang knows. There is like picture overlays and everything. Here, I will say this. I will say this. Because I've said this in past videos. I am like 100,000,000% certain, and I never say this in any of my theories, but I am like 100,000,000% certain that the planet that we're seeing here is Alchera.
See, I'm not. I don't think that's.
No, I know. I promise you, Kala, after I show you the stuff in the video.
Wait. Here's my one reason.
Right. Please.
The
Yeah.
atmosphere.
No, I know. That there's a
Liara
thing.
is not wearing a proper breathing apparatus.
I know. No, I fully know. I think I told you on one of your streams, she can breathe there. And I apologize. This is like the biggest tease that I've ever done, but I will be presenting everything for this probably like 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my
Something
God.
huge is happening for me next week that I don't want to say yet until it's kind of confirmed. So videos might be slightly, off.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's all good things. It's all good things. But yeah, I am very, very, very convinced that this is Alchera. So because I think this is Alchera, there is only one major thing that happened on that planet. And that's where Shepard died. And we're now
were
seeing
there
Liara.
Reapers in near Alchera? I thought there weren't.
No, I know.
Oh my God. Okay, this is driving me crazy.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I guess you know what? Because I can't really speak to it too much. I just wanted to, because I know that the chat's being very like, oh my God, Shepard is dead. We're all devastated. I do think that Shepard is going to be back. And I will present my thoughts on it in video form.
I will be waiting.
Yeah, if you're that desperate, I might send you just the video. I'll give you the member 3-day early access on the Friday before. But yeah, I am very convinced that Shepard will be back. So I don't want everybody in the chat to be like, well, Kala and Atharia are basically just destroying all of our hopes. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be long. And yeah, I feel bad that we can't really discuss all of it. I would love to have you honestly back to discuss it afterward, because I feel like your mind's gonna be blown as well.
Sure, yeah, we can do that after I do my Jardan video.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh
my God, this is so true. You brought your inner Gamble out. You
I'm
did.
so-
You're channeling
no.
Gamble right now with this tease.
Kala, I am. And now I
Evil.
feel even worse.
Oh yeah. I do want to say one thing though. I think that whatever happens in the next game, we will get another introduction of our new character, whatever character it is, looking out of the window with their N7 reflection in the window.
I have
Because that is-
this at the ready.
Yeah,
for
I
some
think
reason.
it's been in Mass Effect 1. It was in Mass Effect Andromeda. And we've already seen the tease of it in that this N7, or I mean the mass relay trailer clip thing that we've looked at with the N7 stripe down at the bottom that Vaughn pointed out.
Oh yeah.
So for sure, we don't know anything about the next game, but I would put money that the next game will absolutely have that iconic opening scene of someone talking over the character. Oh wait, is it this scene? Did you just pass
This
it?
is the one.
My stream is delayed, but yeah,
I
that
am
one.
so sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're a little behind. So on screen right now in real time for me, I have the that red and white stripe in the bottom left corner. It's super, super hard to see for people, so I'm just gonna drag this over. So for those who can't see it, it is right next to me right now. So if you look closely, there is like a white stripe, and then there's kind of like a darker, thicker stripe, and then the other white stripe, which basically, I guess I have my shepherd spy thing. You can kind of look at FemShep's arm over here. That's the white, red, white of N7. And then I'll pop up the other thing right here that I had of the opening sequence, where you can see now it's directly right next to my screen over here. There's that iconic, just the window N7 thing. So yeah, I definitely, that would be easily one of those Easter egg things they could do to show the new protagonist if they are going to be in N7. Yeah, like I would totally, that's a classic Easter egg where if you played, Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition or the OG in 07, you'll know what that means. But anyone that's new would just kind of be like, oh, this is cool. Like these are the types of things that they for sure should do, quite honestly. And also Zodorus, hello. Good to have you. I shouldn't have brought it up. I shouldn't have brought up the thing, but I did want to make sure that people know that it's very much Alchera, guys. Like, I've never been more sure of anything ever.
Okay, but here's the thing though. The helmet that Shepard lost there was not that helmet.
I know. Yep.
Well,
if you'll recall, the original thing. No, yeah, Fang, I shouldn't have done it. Fang knows. Fang was there screaming with me when we figured it out. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff with it being Alchera that I can't quite explain. Something that I guess I do want to get your thoughts on, because I have already written this part of my script up, is the actually, you know what? I would feel bad. I would feel bad because I wouldn't be able to contribute to the conversation. It would just be me asking you and then you being like, so what do you think? And me saying, I don't even know. It's okay.
Well, just ask me anyways. Because now I'm curious.
Okay. The thing that you showed me before, the end thing here, right? What do you think this is?
Give me 1 second.
So it's the, sorry, yeah, because
I gotta wait for your stream.
Yeah. The thing where it says Mass Effect will continue, and then the thing kind of moving behind the logo.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think it is? And I can't provide my thoughts on it, but I'd love to hear yours.
You're talking about the I did isolate that picture. I think I have it somewhere on my Twitter. But I really don't know what to make out of that. It could be just like, here's the tweet. It could just be a very simple fill-in,
Right.
It could just be a shape that they use to fill in a void.
Yep.
Or it could be something. It definitely looks like it could be this like Scourge related, dark energy related. like space particles, space debris. It very much, when I first saw it, I very much thought that it was dark energy was kind of my first, I mean the Scourge, sorry. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I don't think that anything that they've done is random, so yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's the key, right? What they did is not random. And I don't I don't think that I think this is very, very, very intentional. Yeah. No, Fang, I have a really bad poker face clearly, but Scourge related,
I
yeah.
have seen people say that it's shaped like the Leviathan. That I
Mhm.
don't.
Yep.
I don't see that at all.
I think I also said in my original breakdown that it looked like a Reaper. I can for sure 1,000,000% tell you that it's not. Yeah, but I do think my current theory on why this thing is kind of moving and stuff like that, I will say, is kind of similar to your thoughts on it being kind of dark energy-esque, and it's moving for a reason. I think it's moving for a reason. I will say that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I still think that like everything that they've shown right now is just to the point where they haven't revealed anything. And it obviously that's intentional,
Mhm.
but it's very, very frustrating. So I do hope that on the next N7 day, when we get some new information, because I don't think that there's going to be much until then, I hope that they give us something more tangible. And I actually had a question for you.
Yeah.
I have, I don't have a ton of more theories to cover after my next like 2 videos, I think.
Right.
And unfortunately, that means Mass Effect's kind of in like a very dry spot right now.
Mhm.
And we won't get anything until N7 day, or at least until the new board game that's coming out, which I'm pretty excited for.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, how many more theories do you think that you're gonna be able to cover until N7 day?
I have just opened up my working on videos folder, and I currently have 2 for sure planned. And I had been planning these for like months. And then afterward I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But essentially what I'm kind of going to be doing after I release my next video on the 1st, on April Fool's Day. It won't be a joke. Although releasing this particular video, yeah, I guess I've already kind of talked about this before. The video that I'm going to be releasing April 1st is on how all the endings in Mass Effect 3 can work. Without having a large time jump, without going to Andromeda, and without canonizing anything. So that's a huge one that I've been kind of working on for a bit. And then after that, I'm going to be basically discussing all of the hints in order again. Because that's kind of what I first did on the channel when I released it last May. So I'm going to be going through the teaser trailer again, which is the huge, basically confirming Alchera one. And then I think I'll do I'm basically just going to go through every single hint. So I'm going to do this one here. The relay, what the relay could mean, how it connects to the Geth. Going through the coat art again. Going through the Like basically just rehashing through things that I've already gone because my thoughts on it have changed. That's essentially it. Because we're in a dry spell. We've gotten absolutely nothing, and we won't get anything probably until Dreadwolf is for sure released, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, in terms of theories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do hope that we get something, but yeah, I don't. I think it'll be November.
I can't see them releasing anything huge. Like, I would love if they released something, anything, before the Dreadwolf stuff comes out. You know, like an April, May type of just random, like, they haven't really done that in the past, so I don't predict that they would. But I take anything at this point. I take anything at
I
this point.
still have my fingers crossed that we will eventually learn more about that show. You know?
Oh.
That I'm waiting for.
Yeah. I think I was going to do an update on where that's at because I have no idea where that's at. Yeah, but that would be like, I can't wait for whenever, and I really do think that like hopefully Dreadwolf is a huge success so that this game can go forward. Because once it, like, if it does, we're gonna get all the Mass Effect content. Like, we're gonna get a new game. The new TV show could be out. Like, imagine just making videos about just having almost too much to talk about. You know what I mean?
God, I hope so.
I would just,
so dry.
I'd be over the moon though. Like, it would just be so much fun. Imagine being able to like hop on a stream and be like, oh my goodness, look at what they did in episode 3 of the show. You know, like I would just, that would be a lot of fun. I just wanted to ask Error 404 here. What are you asking here? Also, I don't mind entering into a bit of a Q&A section for a bit. Are you good with entering kind of a Q&A, Kala?
Yeah.
Just from the chat? So yeah, guys, this is kind of all of our thoughts and everything. Feel free to ask questions to either me or Kala or both on whatever Mass Effect related things we've discussed here today. And if we missed something, definitely ask on that as well. Yeah, so Error, what question are you asking here? Just one info in the next N7 Shepard? The way that I kind of took this to mean, I will say this. Because I'm really, really 1,000,000% sure that what they showed to us in the teaser is Alchera, and that I do think Shepard's coming back. I am personally still very convinced that Shepard will be the new N7, the old N7 that we will be able to control. And that we will get closure from the trilogy. That being said, the theory that I have is extremely complicated. Takes into account a few things that I've said in the past. Which, as we all know, is kind of unhinged a little bit. But it's the only explanation that I can currently come up with to make everything make sense. Shepard returning no matter how is fine by me. Yeah, so with regards to this is just purely my opinion. I'm not confirming it or anything like that. I think that Shepard is like if before I figured this thing out, I was at like maybe like a 55%. I feel like I'm at like an 80%. Sure.
That is so interesting because the more that time has gone by, the more reveals that we've been getting, the more I'm like on the opposite side. I'm like
I know,
80% sure that Shepard is not returning as like, especially as the protagonist.
I was there with you. I 100% was there with you. The more I covered things, I was more sure at the beginning. And then I slowly started being like, oh, hang on. This doesn't make sense. But I'll put it this way. I'll put it to you this way, Kala. Let's just pretend I already showed you the video and that you 100% think that this is Alchera that they've shown. With it being Alchera, do you think that increases the chances of Shepard returning?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Damn.
I have always viewed that trailer as being more like Liara looking back fondly about her time with Shepard, and that's supposed to be how we feel watching that scene. Even if it is Alchera, I don't think that changes how I interpret it, because there's no indication that Shepard's returning. It's just where Shepard's been. And yes, there is a ton of, like, I think Alchera means something about, or maybe it's Alchera that I think it's Alchera that means like rebirth or something.
Yeah.
But that was decided back when this planet was chosen in Mass Effect 2. So
Right.
I think just for me, it being Alchera still doesn't change anything. Because
Right.
I've always seen this as Shepard smiling, thinking about her time with Shepard.
Liara smiling.
Yeah.
Can you
Shepard
imagine
brain
though?
now. I've got Shepard brain now. But so that's always how I've interpreted that trailer. And
Right.
I think that for me that trailer has always been about kind of being like, hey, we
Mass Effect's coming
know
back.
you guys miss Shepard. We miss Shepard too. But let's look back fondly, but also look to the future. That's how I've always interpreted that.
Okay, yeah. I guess it's just a fundamental difference in, I truly believe that the whole trailer is meant to mean something. And I fully get that, like, people don't, like, I've seen quite a few people in my community be like, Liara just picking the N7 out of the ice just means, like, the whole series is coming off of ice, like they're basically saying Mass Effect will continue just with that. But I truly think that everything that we've seen so far is completely intentional, because that's what Gamble has said. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see your thoughts on it, especially. I feel like we would definitely need to hash it out again. Yeah, let's dive into some of the questions here. So BZ Movies has said, what squad mate do you want back most that isn't one of the main three? And I'm also keeping an eye on the clock because I know you said you have to be somewhere at 3. So you just stop me at any time that you need to hop
Hard
off.
stop is like 3:15, so I'm good.
Okay,
for a little bit
sounds good.
longer.
Okay, so I guess I'll throw to you first. Which squad mate do you want back most that isn't one of the main 3? That is Tali, Garrus, or Liara.
Arya. I need Arya back. I want Arya back more than anybody else aside from Liara.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite companions, Liara, Legion, Arya. Those are my top 3.
That's your top 3.
Yeah, a little spicy there. I know.
Damn,
it's not
that
the
is a
usual.
hot take. Wow.
I know. Actually, it's probably Liara, Arya, then Legion.
Okay.
But yeah. So I desperately want Arya back. How about you?
Well, I just wanted to say, like, with you wanting Liara and Arya back, probably will get your wish regardless, because they're both Asari that could live,
Yeah,
it's really long. So
them-
that's a good top 3.
I'm so glad that I latched on to the one who can live
Who can
the
live.
longest.
That's so sad though. Oh man, that's really, really hard. So my top 3 in order is probably Liara, Garrus, and then Tali. So I feel very devastated that all 3 of those were immediately taken from me. But besides for those 3, I gotta say, over time, for some reason, Edie has
Oh,
really grown
interesting.
on me. For some reason, like I think that when I first played it through, I would never have said Edie, but I loved her character arc. Really, really loved her character arc. So maybe Edie. Besides for Edie, like for one, because Edie could potentially live into, you know, like the long lifespan. If I could choose someone that has a, a lower lifespan, I want to say somebody like Jack. I really, really, when I played Mass Effect 2 for the first time, I will never forget my reaction when, like, the whole time I was like, Jack is 100% some buff dude in this prison, and we're about to break them out, and it's just gonna be awesome. And when it was just this petite female in Jack that just wrecks people with her biotics, like, I was over the moon, so happy that I totally got the wrong impression, which they totally yanked my chain there and got me to believe something else. So yeah, I would say Edie and Jack if I can't choose Liara, Garrus, or Tally, because that 100% in that order would be those three. I'm just just thinking about it, devastated.
I also really want to see Javik for the story aspects.
Oh,
I also really like
yes.
Javik, and I really like Ike Amati, his voice actor.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see Javik return, just because we never really got to see him like live. Like, I want to see what he's up to. If he, you know, obviously he has the very depressing, ending option.
Yeah.
But I would love to see him return.
Yeah. I am so sorry, guys. I don't have the other questions because the way that my thingy works is I can't scroll up. So I'm just gonna
let me see. I'll scroll up.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling, but I don't think I could put it on the screen here. So I know that there was a really good question that I wanted to look at. Okay, yeah, so this one from Josh. What if the new relay is using quantum entanglement communication to travel not through the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxy like a wormhole or time dilation? Oh, so Josh is saying that what if this relay, the human-made mass relay, is just a communications device and not used for travel? What are your thoughts on that?
Say that one more time.
So
Sorry.
the human-made relay, the one with Cerberus colors, do you think that the relay could be used for communication and not for travel? So like going to a different location.
With all those ships being around it, that's a good question, because you would think if it was, well, I mean, I guess it's still not built, so I guess that makes sense why there's ships around it. If it's not built, it's not active. You would assume that a mass relay would not be able to just have ships near it from the activity going on with it being active. They wouldn't, maybe they'd get sucked in or whatever, the reverb. So I don't really know. What would be the point of that, though?
That's the thing, right? But also,
yeah,
when we I was looking through like the codex on relays for some reason, and I think it said that relays always have like a twin relay. It's never just one relay. It has to have another relay connected to it in order for like that BAMF, to happen. So I'm not sure, like, and also relays aren't really the only known purpose, I guess, that we know for it so far is travel. Also, just a random thought that this is kind of sparked. How do you think that this new relay, like, is going to actually work in terms of, like, activating it with Ezo?
Okay, I have, and I said this in my dark energy video, I think that the Geth could have been involved in creating this. they had access to weird technology that they were already using with mass relays to make their telescope.
Mhm.
So I assume that after the ending of Mass Effect 3, they had access to Reaper technology now, and maybe whatever technology that the Geth had access to, their strange technology that they talked about. So that could be how it was, made. Maybe the Geth were involved, and that's why we're seeing the audio of the Geth listening.
Mm.
But as far as like how it actually works, I 100% don't know. Obviously, I mean, none of us do, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that evolves into, because as of right now, we have a very definitive definition of what mass relays are, and the Geth telescope kind of changes that.
That's what I was
So
gonna
it
bring
seems
up.
like they could expand upon that even more. Also,
Yeah.
I'm going to go take my dog out really quickly, so
Okay.
I will be right back.
No problemo. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, I guess my thought on that, Josh, is that is interesting because I didn't actually consider, I had forgotten that the Geth telescope is just 3 relays that aren't kind of, don't have the ESO activation thing on them. Just used as like a seeing device. So I definitely think that it's not completely outside the realm of possibility, because it is canon that a relay can be used for something that's not just travel. You can use it to see things. So yeah. Excellent question by Kevin, and please do keep the questions coming, guys, until I think we can take a Q&A until maybe for 30 more minutes. Here's an excellent question by Kevin. If relays do have twins, how do we explain the last shot a secret relay out of the Milky Way? So I assume you're talking about this. Are you talking about the 2020 teaser, this secret relay, this one? Or are you talking about the Omega relay? No, wait, because I think the Omega relay in Mass Effect 2, that one did have a twin on the other side, right? I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one did. But yeah, that's an excellent question though, Kevin. Because if this is indeed what you're talking about here, this random relay in the debris, I'm gonna be honest, like I am planning like the second teaser trailer breakdown. I don't know what this relay, why they showed this relay. I do believe everything in this teaser is completely intentional. And I don't currently have an explanation for what this specific thing is. Because it technically could be anything. It technically could. Because of the Geth telescope, this relay doesn't necessarily have to mean it has to have a twin that goes somewhere else. Right? Like, who knows? I don't know. They've provided the perfect amount of just, giving us something that could mean anything, which is why the theories are so fun. Let me just see if you guys have any questions here. Java has the best backstory from yeah. Well, because it's been set up, right? Like, he has one of the most heartbreaking backstories. And yeah, if you take it like all the way through till he holds the memory shard, like, man, it's just, that reveal really hit me hard. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Javik because he kept like insulting everybody else on board. And not in like a Joker way where he kind of jokes about it and you're just like, oh, it's like a Joker thing. Like, he was really like, no, you should take Legion and throw him out the airlock, and he was serious. So that's why he kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but he definitely had one of the most, when you hear about why he thinks the way he does, and, the tragic just story of how he had to like, like kill his entire squad, essentially, it made everything suddenly make sense, for sure. For the relay stuff. Mass Effect tunnel is more. Each relay has to connect to two others. Otherwise, you can only go to two places. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, well, that's why the Mass Effect 3, the endings worked the way it did, right? Like, one relay was connected to the other one, vamped the crucible energy into it, and then the other one pointed to another one. So, yeah. But they have thrown a wrench into what a relay's true purpose is, because you can now use it as a telescope and see other things, right? 100%. This is a huge one. Also, welcome back, Hala. We're still just kind of discussing like the relay lore and how this could actually be, because we were talking about how could they kind of switch up and make the Milky Way, make a Milky Way setting feel new. There could be unknown relays that we don't know about, right? And of course,
there absolutely has to be. Like,
Yeah.
there literally has to be.
and
How big
this
the Milky Way galaxy is.
this whole thing, right in this corner here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger here. This thing in the bottom left corner says SA 314. Relay 314 was one of those unknown relays that, humanity just kind of bamfed through and found the Turians. So I 100% think that unknown relays that are just kind of being activated could be a thing. Which might also be why Liara says don't underestimate human defiance, right?
Also, you see where it says Green Dagger?
Yes. Yep.
Green Dagger is the name of a military operation that
Right.
is basically the U.S. Navy, the U.S. military, other countries' militaries, all coming together to compete essentially in like military operations.
Right. Yep.
So it's like used to represent like a a multi-faction effort. So when I think about this, I wonder if this is being operated by multiple like factions, since the monitoring station is operated by Green Dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about this, I just think maybe there's, several individuals behind this. Maybe Green Dagger is a new organization that we don't know of yet. So they just did a really good job of putting a ton of tiny little possibilities in there.
Yeah. No. Every single tease, right? Every single tease can mean 10 different things. So Ruben here has asked, the Geth telescope, which is made out of 3 relays. So what they're asking is, if the relays are paired, there should be 4. So where's the missing one? That's an excellent question. Well, maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Could this be the... I'm showing the Mass Effect teaser trailer. The one where it shows the broken relay. At this point, who knows?
I feel like with the 2020 trailer, it's hard for me to take things as 100% literal and intentional. While yes, I know that they are intentional and everything is there for a reason, this was also made only about a year and a half into the development of this game. And that's very, very, very early on. So yes, I think that this is important, but also I think it's very clear that this is also just kind of trying to like pull people in with nostalgia, and probably doesn't have a lot of 100% confirmed things that'll be in the next game, and things may have changed and things may have evolved.
Right.
So I take the teasers that we get like last year and the year before more seriously than I do this trailer.
Right.
Just because this was so early into, like, they didn't even have Married Tomorrow when they made this.
Right.
They didn't have a lot of their team, so I'm assuming a lot has probably changed since then as well.
Right, yeah. I guess the one thing that really makes this why I feel it's so intentional and holds a lot of weight is, I don't know if you saw the one tweet by Mike Gamble, where he said that they had been waiting like 1,390 days
Yeah,
for
that
this
was
trailer.
the release of Andromeda.
Yeah, that to me is very telling. Like, he wouldn't have specifically wrote that number of days that he said he was waiting for this reveal since 2017. So to me, whatever they showed in this trailer wasn't just a year and a half in the making. Like, they had this in mind while making Andromeda. And that's personally why I take it very seriously, just because of that one tweet. But no, you're 100% right, because things do change. 100% stories can change, and I guess I would really want, if it did drastically change, I would want something from either like Gamble or something that lets us know it has changed. You know, because another thing why I do take this seriously is I think somebody, absolutely blanking on who, but somebody just tweeted something random about the trailer where they were like, when I first saw the trailer, I just assumed it was a Mass Effect 2 recreation and just to be nostalgic for fans, nothing more. And Gamble replied to that, I believe, last year and said, nah, it's not a Mass Effect 2 recreation.
Yeah,
and that
he
was
did
last
clarify
year.
that.
So to me, this still applies. This was not like, if it didn't apply, I think he would have said something, or
No,
he would
I
have
think it still
not
applies.
responded.
No, I definitely think it still applies.
Yeah.
I just think that I do not take it as.
Literal.
Sorry, I'm choking.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I was eating a piece of cheese.
Oh, jeez. I was like
Okay,
ready to get on a
that's my
plane or
bad.
something. I
I'm
was like,
very
oh, jeez.
hungry. I'm okay. I'm alive.
Okay. Well,
I lived through my cheese.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that 100% that, you know, this is concrete teases anymore. Just because, like I said, it's been 4 years. It's been, well, let's see. This was December 2020. So, like, 3.5-ish years.
Right.
And we've had a lot of information since then. And like I said, they didn't even have their writer, you know, their lead writer when they made this trailer. So, and you know, a lot happened when in behind the scenes of Dragon Age. Okay, you guys are making me laugh. That's not Gouda. Jesus, stop it. Stop trying to keep a straight face. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh my god.
Yeah. Fully just lost the train. It's gone. Oh,
Oh
man,
my
I was getting
God.
really distracted as well.
You know, and I chose the driest cheese too. It's like a small
Oh.
pice of like Parmesan cheese that I just grabbed as I was
Oh,
like
man.
walking back.
Shoot.
And
Do
it
you
just,
want to
like,
go?
Crumbled. No, I'm totally fine.
Okay.
I have water, but it's just I thought I could chew it before I had to respond. My bad.
Cheesegate, guys.
But anyways, I just hope that, you know, Married Tomorrow, she joined in 2022. So they've really only had about 2 years with their lead writer.
Yeah.
And I hope that she did bring some changes to the table. I hope that she did, you know, switch it up and add some, you know, unique perspective and feedback on what they were planning. And I hope that she has made it better. So, oh my god, stop it, Chris. So I guess that's just what I think of when I look at this trailer. I think this was made when they didn't know what exactly was in store for the game.
Right. I'm so sorry. I really want to
know,
seriously take
stop.
your thing, but the cheese thing has completely derailed any follow-up thought that I had for that. So I just want to get to two different questions before it fades off of my chat thing. One, Dorothy has asked this: if Gamble wasn't trolling with the meme title, so the MEME title, what does it stand for? And
It-
two, sorry, I just want to get this out before because
Okay,
it's
yeah,
slowly
what's the
scrolling
second
by.
one?
So the second one is if the is it Mew? Is it Moo?
Oh, the Moo
Moo?
Relay.
Moo
Mhm.
Relay. If Moo Relay was important in ME1, Omega Relay in ME2, is the Pi Relay important to ME5? That's an awesome point by Mila.
Maybe, but Epsilon is also a Greek it's based on a Greek letter, right?
Yeah.
Which is like the Mu and the Alpha and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get an Epsilon relay or something like that. I don't know.
Mhm. No, yeah, that's a good point. I have no thoughts on that, but if I had to go with anything, I would say Epsilon is probably the one thing because we have gotten a hint, I guess, at that from the last teaser. What are your thoughts on MEME? And I just gotta say, I love this comment from Wix. Because
What is it?
No. So in a random skit that I did, because I couldn't get out of my head, I was literally memeing about what could Mass Effect stand for.
You
Mass
were
Effect.
memeing.
I was memeing.
M-E-M-E.
I was pun fully intended, Kala. And one of the final things that I did was I said magnificent eggplant, but yeah. Anyway, it's okay. If you know, you know. Wix, that's awesome. What do you think MEME stands for? Because it's not magnificent eggplant.
It obviously means Mass Effect massively affected. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Mass-
No, I don't think that's anything. I don't.
You don't think it's
that
anything?
The next game will have one word, just because it's simplistic and direct, and Mass Effect has always had like shorter titles. So I think that the Emmy was just him trolling. So I don't really think that it means much. I know that God, there's so much discourse in the fandom about whether it's called 4 or 5.
Oh
And
my
in all
goodness.
honesty, I don't give a fuck anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't call it
I'm
whatever
so
you
over it.
want. I'm so tired. The team is calling it 5. If you want to call it 4, that's fine. I don't care. Just don't try and correct me, but I don't care. But anyways, so I do see a lot of people calling it ME now.
Yeah.
Which is in like some discords and like sometimes on the subreddit.
Right.
So I don't really care. I just think that ME was it's just Gamble being Gamble.
Yeah. It was Gamble memeing. And it was just,
It was literally that.
It was epic. So, yeah, I'm just blowing this thing up. Where is it? I have lost. Here we go. There's SFX 5. So, yeah, gang. If you ever see Callo or me saying Mass Effect 5, this
It's
is
'cause it's
why
literally
it's
in
on
the-
the side of a
yeah.
building. It says SFX 5.
It's also in the trailers. Like it's literally like I know
It was
for
in the
a
code.
fact that they're calling it Mass Effect 5.
Yeah.
But I don't care. If people want to call it 4,
No, yeah.
that's fine. But
I'm
the amount
fine.
of people in my comments who try
Saying
to
don't call it
mansplain to
5.
it,
Yeah. Oh, man. No, yeah.
it makes me so. And people will write out whole dissertations.
Yeah.
About why it's called 4 instead of 5, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I literally don't care.
Yeah.
The team is calling it 5. Argue with them. Talk to
Yeah.
the wall. Don't
Yeah.
care. Don't
Yeah.
care.
I have a copy and paste for why I call it 5, and I find it I'm laughing every time I have to do it. It's quite amusing. I copy and paste. I'm like, SFX 5 is on the side of the building in the cars banner from N7 Day 2022. It's quite amusing. I find the
it's crazy.
Discord just hilarious.
And people will make stuff up to
Oh yeah.
be correct. People will be like, the devs already referred to it as Mass Effect 4, and I'm like, they literally did not.
Yeah.
You are making stuff up.
We would know. We're the ones combing through all the tweets and losing our minds.
Yeah, if
We
there
would
was
know.
Any whiff, if anything, it's actually funny that I don't know if you saw Gamble's latest tweets, but he referred to it as Mass Effect Next.
Yes.
Like
No.
He does not want to refer to it as anything.
I was
to say.
gonna meme that because technically the abbreviation is now MEN, which is men. And I was gonna make a skit about I was gonna make a full skit about that and just have it
Oh
be
my god,
hilarious,
that's
but
actually really funny.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah. It'll be the new thing
I just
instead
think
of
it's funny.
magnificent
And if people want
eggplant.
to call it 4, that's I don't care.
No, same.
That's fine.
I don't care what you call it. Just don't get in my mentions about me calling it 5 because I'm calling it what the devs are calling it.
Literally, yeah. Literally. I'm just calling it what they're calling it. If you're mad, take it up with them.
And I'm not even joking. So many times, Kala, the only reason I've typed Mass Effect 5 in a title is because if I typed the next Mass Effect, it would get cut off on the phone. Like my title would get cut off and have the 3 dots. That's the only reason I use it sometimes, just so that the title looks good. It's quite funny.
Yeah, and you know, Andromeda is not Mass Effect 4. I agree, but all of the Mass Effect 4, all of the Andromeda content has Mass Effect 4 in it. So if you go to the videos, it literally says Mass Effect 4.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything. It's just a stand-in development name. And I try to explain people that it doesn't mean anything right now. The game doesn't have an official name. What else do you want me to call it right now? Who cares?
Mass Effect Next, apparently. That's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna call it Mass Effect Next. Just men.
Men.
The next game is just gonna be men. So something that I wanted to ask you just off of this question before I get to Everett's question here is because they're trying so hard, like Gamble is aware of it. He no longer refers to it as whatever. He's referring to it as Mass Effect Next. So you know he's on top of the discourse where fans are arguing over it being called Mass Effect 4 and 5, right? So he's clearly aware of it. The team is aware of it. Do you think that it makes it more likely for Andromeda to not be as involved because they're being so cautious about wanting to call it 5, even though they've clearly called it 5 to themselves?
I don't think it matters at this point.
It doesn't matter.
They have to be so far into development to not give a shit what the fans say. And they should be. They should be so far into development right now that the story has been figured out, the characters have been chosen, the protagonist has been chosen, the themes and the overall arc of the story, those should be decided by now.
Oh yeah.
It's been, they've been talking about Mass Effect 5 since late 2018.
Yeah, since Andromeda finished.
Yeah.
If Gamble's tweet is to be believed.
They have to, They have to have stuff figured out. They can't be bending stuff to the fan base this many years in. That would just be terrible.
No, yeah, I fully agree with that. So Everett's question here. I'd love to hear theories about the new Mass Effect TV show. For example, who the protagonist will be, femshep or broshep, etc. I saw this amazing theory on the Mass Effect TV show. It wasn't even really a theory. It was just a hypothetical for how it could run by Michael Tucker.
You mean the guy who works on Mass Effect?
The guy who works on Mass Effect now. Yeah. So Michael Tucker, for those who don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
The other guy from that is also on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Too.
No, that's what I was going to get to as well.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Michael Tucker is from a YouTube channel called From the Screenplay, I believe.
Lessons of the Screenplay.
Lessons of the Screenplay. Yes. Thank you. And he basically it was like one of his last videos that he made before he got hired by BioWare. And it was I think it was titled the Mass Effect TV show has the potential to be the new Game of Thrones, I believe is what it was. And he basically said he and his co-YouTube person, they both made up an entire Mass Effect TV script on how it would go, if they went with the original characters from Mass Effect, how Liara and Ashley would be foils for each other. And yeah, they cast Emily Blunt as their female Shepard. So to me, I'm very much biased from watching that. And obviously, I play as female Shepard. I would love to see a female Shepard in a sci-fi show. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I haven't done my research since like last year, April time on the new TV show, so I don't know any new details. But if I had to,
there are none.
Yeah, like if I had to pick one, I would probably go FemShep. And I mean, might be likely because both Michael Tucker and I don't know his YouTube co-host's name, but
Alexandra Calleros.
okay, yeah. Alexander would be like they're like it's
that's the
interesting
name.
because Alexander got hired after the fact, like months later or a year later or something, which I found very interesting. They weren't hired like together, Alexander and Michael. So yeah. Yeah, Era 404, Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, they basically took clips from Edge of Tomorrow and have like they were like, yeah, Emily Blunt from Edge of Tomorrow would be like the ideal femshep that they used. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the TV show?
Before I say it, it's gonna be spicy.
Oh,
I would hate a story of Shepard. I would hate it. I would hate it. I don't want it. I do not ever want to see Shepard on screen. I think it would be disrespectful, honestly, to portray Shepard in any way that is not in the games. And I think that they know this because in the comics, in Vega's comic, Shepard does show up, but it's in name only.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So, I don't think that they need to tell the Shepard of story, the story of Shepard either. I think that Shepard is probably the most unique protagonist in all of gaming. You follow them through 3 games. You develop the impact that Commander Shepard has had on gaming for the way that they are now is so impactful. If I had to witness anyone voicing Shepard other than Mark Meer and Jennifer Hale, I would hate it. I would hate that. They are Shepard. They are Shepard. And yes, it worked for The Last of Us, but even still, The Last of Us is a very refined narrative. That story does not change. You don't have agency over how that story goes. You are experiencing the story. Whereas in Mass Effect, you are choosing the story.
Right.
You're choosing your romance, you're choosing the ending, you're choosing all of these small little details. Not only that, but you're also choosing the entire personality. I'm a full Renegade player, so I almost exclusively choose, I'm 80% Renegade, 20% Paragon. So I don't want to see a Paragon Shepard, which would be the way that they would go. It would be disconnected for me.
Right.
I don't want to see Shepard romancing someone other than my love interest. I just think that there's so much disconnect if you take such a curated player story and then you choose everything for it. I think that they could do a ton of other stories. They could make a prequel story to set up for the next game. They could make a prequel story about one of the next companions. They could they could, a lot of people want the First Contact War. I think that would be interesting. I think Turians would look really weird. I think they would look super weird in live action. I think the Halo show did an okay job, but I think it would just be so weird. And I'm not saying this this is not malicious in any shape or form. I see Broshep and I'm like, wait, who is that? I don't know who that is. I'm so used to seeing Femshep, you know what I mean? And it goes both ways. I don't think that people who play as Broshep should have to watch Femshep. I don't think that people should have to, vice versa. It's not any malice or I'm just so used to playing, I have several playthroughs of just as Femshep. And I love Mark Meer. He's great. Love Broshep. That's just no hate to them. It's just how much I've curated my own experience with Mass Effect. And I just think it would be messed up if they did that. Yeah. So, and again, it hasn't, I'm not saying that against Broshep. I love Mark Meer. He's very, very nice. Planning an interview with him soon. It's just, Mass Effect is just, it's your story. And I think that they would lose a little bit of the magic if they did that. And I think there's
100%.
so many other stories that they could tell. There's just so many, especially if you have to think timeline-wise, if there is a show happening right now. We will probably get it in, we would probably get a show within the next 3 years, which would be probably closer to when the next game is coming out. Why wouldn't they do a prequel? Why wouldn't they do something connected to the next game? I don't think that makes any sense.
Would it sell though? Like, would people watch it? Would people?
People are watching Halo, and that show's bad. Halo.
Yeah, but doesn't
got
it
a sequel?
Does it hurt the franchise by putting out a bad product right before you release your new game?
I want to say that I don't know if anybody here is a Dragon Age fan who watched Dragon Age Absolution, but Absolution was very good. It tied into the game's like lore. It did a very good job of respecting, the protagonists that we have, and it doesn't canonize anything about them. It did a very good job of leaving everything pretty much, left in your hands still when it comes to the in-game choices around your character and stuff like that.
Right.
And they worked very closely, like John Epler, who is the lead of Dragon Age, and literally spoke about how closely they worked with Netflix to make sure that everything was, as close to canon as they could get it. And, it was it was a major collaboration. And we know that with this new board game that just came out, the Mass Effect team is working very, very closely with the creators of that game. They're doing everything to make sure that things fit within canon. So I think if they were to do a show and give it that same attention and love, which would be inevitable, they would have to. Mass Effect is their bread and butter. They would have to. I think it would be good. I think it would be good because no matter what story they told, if they told a story within, the world of Mass Effect, you really can't go wrong. I think you can go more wrong telling the story of Shepard, though. That is way more room for error than a new story within the world.
Right.
And the Halo show is meh. It's whatever. It's not very good. It doesn't fit in the game's like canon. It deviates a lot. It's got one of the worst romances I've ever seen. Yeah, it's bad.
I have not watched it because I haven't played Halo, so
it's like fun if you don't care.
Oh dear.
So I think that if they could make a show kind of similar to The Expanse.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen The Expanse?
I was gonna, I'm still on season 1 and I want to get into it more, but I was about to bring it up.
That show is so good, and you'll see some things that remind you of Mass Effect in it, actually.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, so.
Yeah. So I think that they could make a really good show, but I just think if they do the story of Shepard, not only if this next game is not about Shepard, would they be kind of screwing themselves over by, doing that, but there's just way more room for error.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's a very fine line, and if anything, the only thing I could see them doing is if they do that, like, it would be for like trying to bring in new fans. But like it's such a fine line because you can choose Shepard's backstory, so there is no part, even if they had to use the default forms of like either Jane or John Shep, like if you pick like, oh yeah, they were born on Earth, then all the spacer Shepards are gonna be like, what the heck, like that's not what my Shepard did and stuff like that, so, or what their backstory was. So
yeah, you're gonna upset the fan base, like
exactly.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm just glancing at the clock. It's 3:19, and I know you said hard cutoff at 3:15, so you have to hop off. Okay. Absolutely no worries. I don't think if I missed your question, please do pop it into the comments so that me and Kala can maybe check it out there. So yeah, I think that's all the time that we have because Kala has to hop off. So thank you so much, Kala. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. This was fun.
I could honestly chat with you about this for probably 4 more
I know,
hours.
right?
Like we haven't even scratched the surface, you know? So yeah, depending on how that teaser trailer breakdown 2.0 happens, maybe I can have you on again. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to find your link here so I can pop that into the
And you know, maybe
chat.
after you finish your Dragon Age playthrough,
Yes.
which you should do soon because the reveal is this summer.
I know, I'm trying. I had to finish Final Fantasy
Hurry.
Rebirth. I am trying so hard to try to finish Origins. I am currently after the Brazilian Forest. That's all I know. I'm definitely gonna go through it much faster. Guys, that is Kala's YouTube link. If you are not already subscribed to her, go fix that. Go hit subscribe. Because yeah, like she mentioned, she's gonna potentially have Mark Meer on the channel as well, which is very, very exciting. Do you know what your next video is gonna be to kind of hype up the hype for that?
I'm actually working on my first Dragon Age video.
Yeah.
So, but I am still making Mass Effect videos, and I'm still working on my Jardan AI theory. But I'm also working on like some Angara history and the Geth history, stuff like that that will tie into the next game too.
Awesome. That is absolutely, I'm very excited. Unfortunately, I won't be able to watch the Dragon Age stuff, so I will try my best.
You gotta hurry up.
I'm gonna try, and then I'm gonna be on every single one of your videos, like after I finish the series. So yeah, that is all for us. I just wanted to say a quick shout out to my Paragon Elite members, Brian Nichols, Blur Music, and Big Cat Mullen. Thank you guys so much for being Elite members. And again, Kala, thank you so much for coming on. I'd love to have you back. Okay guys, that was it. It is done. I also have found my end music song, which is The End from the Citadel DLC. It won't be Shepard's Tango music unless we get a lot of requests, because that's how we ended the last stream. But thank you guys so much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. My next stream will be the last week of March, sometime between the 26th and the 29th. I don't have a set date because, again, something huge is happening for me next week, so I will let you guys know when that is going to be happening. And my next video is going to drop on the 18th, so hopefully you enjoy that. Yeah, other than that, Kala, do you want to say anything before you sign off?
I'm not good under pressure.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Don't choke on more cheese, okay?
Let's leave behind Cheesegate, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, Cheesegate. We will revisit Cheesegate the next time Kala comes on. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Kala. That is all.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm Atharia, and this is my favorite franchise on the Citadel. See you guys later.